What's that flashing?
Perfect.
What is up, Force family, and welcome to the first ever live.
Wait, this is live?
Live? Are we live?
Yeah, I'm just
Were
kidding.
we not recording before?
We've never posted an episode.
Ah,
First ever live Star Wars Guys
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Welcome if you guys are watching. Welcome to our YouTube channel. We've had so many people ask us to get on YouTube, and it took a while, but we finally got to YouTube, and now we've upgraded again, thanks to Uncle again for providing more upgrading our production value and all this stuff for us to be able to go live. So we're going live, and welcome, Force family. We got a good one for you today. We are going to be talking about Mike's idea. Actually, came up with it: unanswered Star Wars questions. That's the title. Let's dive into it. What do you?
Yeah, so the idea behind this was there's a lot of things that Star Wars gives you, and then sometimes they answer it later in a novel or in a future film or in a Disney Plus show, or some things you never get answered.
Right.
So thought of some topics, and we might even think of some more off the top of our head here of what are some things, whether it's something that happens in a movie, there's a plot point or a device or something, and you're like, oh, I wonder where that goes, and then maybe that's the dead end. They don't really explore it more, or some stuff that's just like big unanswered questions. Where did Maz Kanata get Luke's lightsaber?
How'd you get the lightsaber?
There's things like that now some of them are fun, just like in the original. We always like to talk about the way we watch Star Wars and engage with Star Wars. Just setting the backstory. One of the big criticisms a lot of people had of the prequels when they came out is that George then went and tried to over-explain almost everything, is what some people felt. Like the original, George didn't try to get, he talks about it all the time with A New Hope. He's like, I didn't want to give backstory.
Love it.
Let's
Everything
go.
was like we're in the middle of the story.
Like, just pick up, you'll figure it out, what's
Right.
going on.
Right.
And then later on, when he felt it was appropriate, now we'll give you a backstory as to who Emperor Palpatine is. So I do think there's a time and place for all of it. So, and just like any Star Wars junkie, we like those answers. We're people who like reading the novels and like the books. Of course, when Who is Snoke was up in the air, we're people who are like brainstorming, who could Snoke be? Could
Right.
be Plagueis, could be this. So that's the idea
Crosshair.
behind the discussion.
Right.
Crosshair.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I just think Crosshair looks like Snoke. And then when he took that shot to the head, I was like, ooh, maybe.
Could be.
Oh, maybe.
I
Could
don't-
be.
I don't think
We know
so.
they're changing his mental state a lot.
Right.
So it seems like they can just change the levels of that whenever they want.
Right. We know
They can
Snoke's
make it more severe,
Snoke's a clone.
right?
True.
We found that out.
Maybe they're changing not only his mental state, but also
So-
his height. So he becomes 9 feet tall like Snoke.
That's right.
That's
It
right.
sounds more like Andy Serkis.
Yes. He will be Caesar the Ape by it.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be
Jedi strong together.
yes. No. That'll be
Right.
Crosshair the next season.
Right.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and
Yeah. Before we
Dive
dive
in?
into some
Oh.
of those, I know Mike's got a couple. He came prepared with a list. If you know us, if you've heard either our audio or seen our video YouTube podcast before, a lot of times we show up, we think of a topic, and we press play and we start rolling, kind of like tonight. But now that we're live, I just want to mention, if you have comments, if you have unanswered questions throughout this stream, throughout this live podcast, throw them in the chat.
And
We'll see them. We're
they'll
monitoring it.
Yeah.
Then we'll
Yeah.
love to address them. So if you, part of our reason for going live and trying to make this a live podcast was also just to be able to engage more with our viewership. So you guys can be brought into the podcast with us and join us as Star Wars guys, part of the Force family. You've heard us say it before. So drop your comments if you got unanswered questions, and we'll be monitoring those.
We'll
throughout
make
the
sure to
video.
keep them unanswered.
Yeah.
No,
will
we'll-
not answer
we'll-
a single
We will
one.
look at them and not answer them to make them officially.
We wouldn't
unanswered
want to
questions.
ruin it. No. We would love to hear what you think because we're always looking for.
Or if you
Thoughts?
just think that's a terrible point, drop it. Think it's
Yeah.
a great point, put it in there too.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. Be as engaged or not as engaged as you'd like.
It's one of the beauties of us not having a super structured podcast all the time is
Right.
we don't see a comment and go, oh, well, we're still 30 minutes into this segment at the very end. We could be right in the middle of a great connective, oh, this goes all the way,
Right.
episodes 1 through 9. Hey, George29 Spam says, love Luke's blonde hair. Why does face change? And then we'll address it. And,
Or I
this is
might
the
say,
way it
what
works.
would happen if the Emperor was played by Jeff Goldblum?
sure, like your father, you, yes, you are now mine. Yes.
Pardon you.
Dark
From
side
her life.
Spooky lightning.
Have you ever heard of tragedy of Darth Plagueis? Darth Plagueis? No, not the dumb. The wise.
The wise. This is the podcast.
We go off the rails.
This is it.
All right. Do we start?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
I like the
Let's dive
one
right
you
in.
mentioned. What did you
Like
mention?
the one I mentioned?
Yeah,
The Maz.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. So
I do have one question.
yes.
How are we going to answer unanswered questions?
So here's the point.
Should
of
have
this.
discussed
Not
that.
unanswerable,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
unanswered. Okay.
Yeah.
Here is
Okay.
kind of my thought, and we can go with this. Our job here is not to answer the questions. We will bring up and discuss, like, hey, this is.
Sure.
We can just throw stuff out there. We can speculate, and then we can
Yes.
give a. Will this be answered somewhere?
I like
We
that.
give a prediction of this will be answered somewhere, or that's something that I think that they were going in one direction. There's a reason why Luke and Leia didn't know they were brother and sister until the last movie. It's because George hadn't written it until the last movie.
Yeah,
That's
nobody
just the
knew.
way it worked.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
sure.
He
Right.
wouldn't have had them kiss.
He might have known.
There's-
Yeah.
So there are some things that directors, writers,
Yeah.
start one way and they think, oh, this is good. We set up all these storylines, and now these three we're gonna follow, and that one kind of gets left behind because we decided we had a better thing. And some of those might
Rose.
be some of these. Yeah, that's
It's a tough one.
That's one that's on here.
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
So
All right. Good.
that's kind of. I don't think that we necessarily have to be like, well, off the top of my head, I think that
That
Maz stole it
explains that.
from. I mean, we can speculate if we
Yeah,
want,
yeah, yeah.
but
Okay.
a lot of it's just airing out some. Well, this is something I've thought about. This is one they've never. Or I'd like to see this discussed.
Sure.
Fair
That
enough.
type of thing.
All right.
More of a list.
And there's a good chance some of them could have been discussed in comics or something.
It's true. Comics are the ones that
Yeah.
we're least familiar with.
Yeah.
On for the novel stuff, we know. I mean, we've done our best to keep up with some of the stuff, but there's so many comics out there that some of those could be.
Yeah.
All right.
You got
So-
some good ones. What do you want to start with?
Well,
Maz?
let's the Maz Luke lightsaber. I know a lot of the. What's funny is I do believe the rumors before Episode 7 came out was that one version of Episode 7. I think they even had some concept art about this. There was a rumor that there was going to be an opening scene with like Luke's hand in space with the lightsaber floating through space or something like that. And that it would basically tease that, that hand will be used for cloning or will be used for something. Do you remember? I think someone even made like a digital version of it to try to put to light, like, here's just to try to give a visual of what was rumored to be out there.
Is it JJ?
Ah.
I think
yes.
it was a JJ.
There was a
thing.
concept thing they
There's a
thought?
concept thing, just like Episode 7 in the art of the Force Awakens book that shows concept art for
Death Star.
the
Is that what
Death
you're
Star.
talking-
Death
Yep.
Star ruins,
diving
which
up,
they
Yep.
ended up tying into. They end up
Right,
using some of
right.
that stuff,
Sure.
and sometimes they don't. But yeah, so it's one of those things where the first time we see the Skywalker, because it's not Luke's green one, but it's the blue
Right.
one that obviously Anakin had and then passed to Luke. First time we
Well,
see it in the
Let
sequel
me ask you.
trilogy.
Let me ask you this. Refresh
Maz.
us then. When's the last time we saw that? Was it in Episode 5 when he got his
I
arm?
believe it's the hand.
So
cut
his
off,
hand's
yes.
cut off, falls down
Falls
in the thing.
Yep.
Presumably gets sucked out of the thing.
Cloud City.
Ends up in
Right.
somewhere in space.
Yeah.
And now Maz somehow gets it.
That's the thing is people are having this big debate, right? And hear me out.
Uh-oh, what
Is
did I
it-
set
is
up?
it Anakin's lightsaber? Is it Luke's lightsaber? Is it Rey's? People get up in arms about is it Rey's?
They
It's
do, really?
Maz.
They do,
It's
really?
Maz. It's Maz's saber. Finders keepers. That's what I say.
Well, is it Finn's?
Is it Finn?
Is it Finn's?
He's the first to wield it in the
I'm
movie.
sorry. Is it Hans?
Oh,
All right, did that tauntaun cut
I
itself?
like this.
That's true. That's true.
Someone had to cut open the tauntaun.
That's right.
Oh,
Someone had to
man.
use it.
I
Yeah.
love it.
So yeah, I mean there's not a ton we can go into this one other than is this something obviously now this kind of
So here's the right. Go ahead.
no.
I was gonna say. So here's the thing. So here's a question for you that might make us think. Would someone willingly give that up? Like, would it be something you could buy? Would it be something that she would find?
yeah.
But obviously, anybody who found it would know the value of it.
I feel
Yeah.
like she had to have. It's got to be something she found. I don't. Yeah.
But you see, a lot of people are coming through here. This is a busy place, right? So there's
Yeah.
people from all over the
It's
galaxy
in the
coming
basement. I feel like Maz's. I think you're onto something here. I feel like Maz's few comments she talks about, or the few words she says about the lightsaber to Rey, talks about it belongs to Luke. This was Luke's, and it
Sure.
belonged, and now it's calling to you. Clearly, she knew that this was Luke's.
Right.
This didn't feel like, oh, this is just some artifact that I found. She's also someone who's knowledgeable. Not necessarily,
Right.
she's not a Jedi, but she's knowledgeable of Jedi. She's knowledgeable of the Force as far as what it is, and so that's what she's examining, and she knows that Rey is special, and that's why she goes down there to talk. and
She
tries
knows
to
hell.
convince
She
her.
knows Han and Chewie very well.
Knows Han Chewie very well.
Yep.
That's another
So
thing.
I like that Wookiee.
I like
What
that
is it
Wookiee.
about Maz where she can tell that it's calling? Is it just the simple fact that she can see Rey is sensing something? Or does she know more about like the history because of her background that she knows there's is it like she could tell the
Maz
Force
has
is
a s-
calling to
has something.
It's calling to you.
She's got another sight, right? She can look, and that might have been baloney.
Yeah.
She could look into someone's eyes and
Yeah.
tell.
Right.
This leads to a bigger,
peg Finn.
question
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff from a just logistical standpoint of where the fandom is, where the timing of these movies coming out. I don't think we're gonna get anything anytime soon, likely. But I loved Maz's character,
Oh yeah.
especially in The Force Awakens when she was obviously given the most to do of any of those films. She was like, who is like? She's kind of ancient.
Yeah.
I love
She's
it.
wise.
Yeah.
She's not a Jedi, but she kind of is in this.
Right.
She's in this like this den of all these people who are hiding out, doing maybe shady things. Kind of feels a little bit
And it
like the
seemed-
cantina or
Right.
Jabba's
She
palace.
knows everybody.
But she's
is
not like she doesn't
connected.
feel like slimy
Right.
as much as
Right.
she is like.
it doesn't feel like anybody's gonna
It's
cross
just
her
business.
either.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
Like
She's
nobody's
a
in there.
respectable
yeah.
businesswoman. Yeah,
She speaks up and everyone stops and listens to what she's about to say.
Yeah.
Han Solo. Everyone goes silent. Like
Mhm.
it's like it doesn't seem like anybody in there was gonna try and cross her.
Right.
yeah.
Plus, I like the little. Was it the Last Jedi where they show the like hologram of her like in battle answering? too?
Yeah, well,
it's like what is she doing?
labor
What-
dispute or
right.
something she was talking about,
Yeah.
a union dispute or
Right.
something.
Right,
yeah.
right.
But yeah, so that's one of them for sure. Just off the top of, I'm thinking of a direct answer of this thing happened. I wonder the backstory to
Yeah.
that. Obviously, one of the biggest backstories in the history of Star Wars we're about to have answered, which is the Sarlacc pit, as far as Boba Fett.
Right.
This kind of feels like something that's not that big, but this, as far as the significance of that lightsaber to the Skywalker saga in general, and that lineage of now Rey, Luke, and obviously Hayden Christensen, Anakin having it, just feels like that's something that we thought it was gone forever. That's why Luke made a new one, and now it's back.
Yeah.
Just wonder how she got it.
Yeah. No,
Alright.
it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I mean, it's hard to say.
Again,
it's like,
fun
yeah.
questions we don't have the
Yeah.
answers to.
Yeah. No, that's a
But-
good one though, because I feel like you're saying, everybody thought that. As soon as the movie came, I feel like I remember a lot of people talking about, well, how the heck did
Right.
she get it?
Yeah.
Like, but it's not something that's crucial for the storytelling, but it's something that everyone's like,
They
I'd
might
like
call.
to know how.
They might call that a MacGuffin.
Ah, yes. Mm-hmm.
It's needed to,
yeah.
Exactly.
but it's got to come out somehow. I'm sure somebody thought of. It's
There's
Yeah.
some backstory
somewhere
Yeah,
in
sure.
there. Right?
That feels like a comic answer.
Yeah, it
too.
does. It does for sure.
Yeah. All right. I've got a bunch listed. If either of you
yeah.
have stuff off
Hold
the
on.
top
Hey,
of your
quick
head or
shout out to
anything listed,
Ellie. Thank you
I
for
saw
the.
that, yeah.
You know him well.
You know him well.
I like it.
I
Thanks.
love it.
We love it.
Thanks for
You
watching,
know him well. There it is.
Ellie.
That's a true fan right
There
there.
it is. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. You had some more. We can do another one of yours. while I
Yeah.
pull
And
up
some of these we
other
can
ones.
spend 2 minutes on. Some we can spend longer or shorter, whatever. I
Yeah.
mean,
Knights of Ren. Is that on the
Knights of Ren.
Knights of
yes.
Ren.
So one thing tied kind of similar to this scene of, okay, so this is what I was watching recently. Part of The Force Awakens was on TV.
Yeah.
And I just remember all the questions and excitement I had over the Force vision scene of Rey touching the lightsaber. Then she
Oh yeah.
goes through this whole Force vision,
Right.
and it was great. I think it still completely works with where the story ended up going. There are a lot of things in that Force vision that I think they probably had an idea that JJ probably set up, was like, we could do something with this, and then maybe either he or Ryan or both was like, it kind of doesn't work as well.
To go with the,
One of the things that was interesting was her looking like it was almost like, because in the Force vision, for those who haven't watched it in a little while, shows her as young Rey and has like the vision of her parents flying off from Jakku, but then also has her as an adult. She's stumbling, and then all of a sudden she has vision of the Knights of Ren. Looks like they're killing some people in the rain, and Kylo's with them, and it's all the Knights of Ren kind of looking and like walking towards her, and it kind of feels like whether or not she's involved in this, we're going to see the scene in the rain with the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't end up getting that, and we also, I don't have a problem with the way they used the Knights of Ren, because I do think it is a lot more important to focus on Rey and Kylo, and it may have taken a long time to. It's hard to. These movies were long enough already. It's hard to see where they could all of a sudden have a big Knights of Ren story arc, but that's something that for sure, if there was
sounds like a TV show.
If there's a Disney
Yeah.
Plus
The Knights
streaming
of
show,
Ren,
The Knights
that'd
of
be a whole
Ren,
thing.
I'd be watching that in a
Oh,
second for sure. So Knights of Ren in general, especially because it was kind of teed up right there. And again, we got a little bit more of them, obviously, in The Rise of Skywalker when they come
And
back.
we've gotten
but
some of them in comics. I know
we've gotten
that.
some stuff in comics, but as far as just kind of their, I know we've gotten some stuff in comics with even like Kylo joining the Knights of Ren,
Right.
but just even more of us getting to know the current Knights of Ren
Yeah.
would be interesting.
I would like some
Yeah.
more, like going off the Knights of Ren, more of their, like, what's the word? Their set of rules. Like, what is their,
what
not just where they
distinguishes them?
came
What
from,
makes
but
them
like,
different?
what is the Knights of Ren? Like, what do they follow? What's the code they follow? Because from what we've heard or what we've seen is like, there's Kylo, whoever rules the Knights of Ren, right?
Yep.
But then whoever takes out that person then becomes the next
I
ruler
think
of the Knights of Ren. Or like,
isn't now maybe this is something that's born out of other stuff. Were the Knights of Ren the offshoot of the students who left Luke's school?
I think some
and
were.
he took them away. Instead of Jedi Knights, they become the Knights of Ren. So they're following in the teachings
Sure.
of Kylo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think somewhere it's
Or
canon
the
where there
Ren.
was already a leader of the Knights of Ren
Okay, and he went to them.
that had a lightsaber and everything, and Kylo took him out,
And
and
then
now
got it.
they all
becomes the
followed,
leader.
became the leader. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's
and probably took students with him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
Whoever-
it kind of gives me
Whoever
like
they
the
didn't kill.
Inquisitor-
Whoever didn't kill.
yeah, yeah.
It gives me kind of like the Inquisitor type vibe.
Yeah.
Like they're not Sith. Like they don't. Well, I guess the rest of the Knights aren't even yielding lightsabers. But I mean, it gives that kind of their own league type deal.
They're
I don't
they're
know.
they're millennial Jedis.
yeah.
We don't want your old ways, man. We're
That's
gonna
it.
we're
Yep.
gonna do this new thing.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's true. That's
They're
Piece
true.
of
working on
love,
their
man.
they're working
Yeah,
on their
just
Twitter
choo-choo-choo.
and their
Yeah.
TikTok and their whatnot.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah. That was great.
Just
Right.
kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one. I mean, that's one that happy with what we got, but would love more.
We got a question from Hannah on there.
Oh yeah, let's hear
go.
it.
What do you think Finn was going to tell Rey before they fell through the quicksand in Rise of Skywalker? I have to
Ah,
tell you something.
Yes.
Kind of tough to speculate, but I wondered what you guys thought. Uncle,
Ooh.
I gotta go first.
I
I
guess
think
so.
we're not
When
even
you get-
allowed to talk on
When
this.
you
one.
get called out, you gotta go first.
Yeah.
Put you back in that moment. So they're on the planet. They're on the sand pit, and then they're gonna fall through. He says, "I have to tell you something."
Yeah.
And then what's he gonna tell her?
Yeah. Do you have an idea?
I love you.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
was thinking that he was going to share
But I
with her
don't
that
think-
he's force sensitive.
That's what I thought.
That's
too.
more likely.
but
I thought that too. But it could have been.
but it is
both.
it's definitely played
how would
and
that-
said intentionally too of like
Here's the thing. Why would it have? Yeah, like whatever he's gonna say, that moment made
that's what's interesting.
him think about it.
True. It's like he wanted to get it off his chest before he died.
that's
He's
what's
like, I want to
interesting.
tell you, I
Yeah.
had this same
R-
feeling you had.
Because I've been
Right.
almost convinced that it's because later they show his force sensitivity, but the fact that you're making me change my mind here, I think, because the fact that he's like this is something that people usually say like, okay,
Yeah.
you're watching Indiana Jones or something like that. They're tied up.
We just
we're not
love
The
gonna,
Nazis
Spider-Man.
got him. The house is on fire.
We're not
Before we
gonna get
die,
out
I
of
have to
this.
profess my love to you and let you know this. So I cannot die you thinking something different about me. I need to
Yeah,
say this to
exactly.
you so we clear the air.
Yeah.
It would be weird to be like, by the way, I'm dying, but I could have been a Jedi. Like,
I have a sense of the Force as well.
That's interesting. Just
But
so you
it's
know,
not
my
helping
death
me
is
in this moment.
my death is more valuable than you think because I could have been somebody even more.
Could have been a contender.
Yeah, true. That's could have
Yeah.
been
Plus,
could've
they
been a
make a big
contender.
deal out of it as like
Yeah.
now that they survive,
Ooh.
Poe or whatever is like, what
That's
were you
good.
gonna
That's
say? And
interesting.
Ellie says, I think it was I love you.
It's. I mean,
Could be.
there's.
Plus, the thing with
This is leading to another one I'm going to set up to talking about.
Rose. or-
Well, two other ones. With another one involving. Well, I don't jump in the gun. But yes, two other love stories
I
that
was
they
gonna
teed up that kind of didn't
yeah.
didn't go.
I was gonna say after seeing what they teed up with Rose and that kind of being shut down made me kind of now I guess leaning more towards that because we know that there was an attempt and the only reason, not the only reason, but from a movie standpoint, a good reason for not professing how he feels about Rose or not having those feelings is because there's someone else.
Right.
So now go fast forward to Rise of Skywalker and this moment comes that makes total sense because
Mhm.
he's like, well, it's because
It was there.
she was the one. I've been. And who is he screaming more than ever? He's always yelling.
I
Ray.
mean,
He's always yelling,
So,
Ray.
right.
Yeah.
it kind of makes. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they have an awkward little when they get down there.
Right.
He said you had to tell me what. I'll
Well,
tell you later. What you mean, like when Poe's not around? Is that what you knew? It saying like that?
exactly.
It felt very much like a.
Like a.
Yeah.
I'm third wheeling it
professional-
here. I'm
Right. I
listening
can't say
to a
it now.
relationship
Everybody's
thing.
watching me.
That's
Um,
true.
That's good. So feeding off
I think
that,
I know what you're gonna say now.
there's
Go for it.
there's a couple of things. One also involving Ray. At the end of Last Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Johnson has this scene at the end of Last Jedi that I know caught people's attention of thinking that a Poe, Ray love story might have been brewing when all of a sudden there's
I
this
thought
little
that.
there's
Yeah.
a very intentional she gets to say your text, they get on the Falcon, they're leaving, and they're like, hi, and she's like, hi, I'm Ray. He's like, oh yeah, I know who you are, something. And it was just this strange, it was
Right.
strange in kind of a good way, like they brought
Right.
attention to the fact of like, I just want to make sure you know who I am.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, I know who
Which
you
is
are.
funny
Like,
because when that
Got
first happened, I was like, oh yeah, they don't really know each other.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
I heard
I'm
people
watching
like
this,
there
like-
was even YouTube videos of like racking their brain of like, wait, have they never met? This.
Yeah.
But it was very intentional that they set that as a thing that feels like, oh, that could be where this is going.
Yep.
And again, anyone who follows our podcast at all, we're big fans of the sequel trilogy. Sequel trilogy.
That's equal
sequel- the
trilogy.
The sequel trilogy. I'm Tweety Bird now.
Marriage.
Marriage.
The sequel trilogy. We're big fans of it. Doesn't mean that there aren't certain things that directors change their mind on.
Sure.
Right.
Clearly, when you have a director and a writer of JJ to Ryan Johnson writing and directing,
Yeah.
to back to JJ, they're not going to follow every single story beat because they are creating stuff as they go. They might have a big arc and they might see stuff all the way through, but they're developing as they go.
That's right.
And this feels
Yeah.
like one of those, along with the because what I was saying is obviously when the next movie starts, there's a close friendship there.
Mm-hmm.
But the first dialogue we get between Poe and Ray is they land and Ray has been training and the Falcon's on fire in the background. It's on fire. Everything's on fire. And Poe has this funny line and then he talks
Yeah.
and he gets frustrated with Ray about we need you out there. And they have this
You're
it
our
just
best
kind of
soldier.
shows
Yeah.
and she's like, you know what you are? You're frustrated. You're
You're
frustrating.
difficult,
You're
yeah.
difficult. You're difficult.
Feels very Sam and
It's-
Diane.
Yes,
That's-
exactly.
Yeah.
That's an old reference.
Yeah.
But
I get it. Yeah, but so
yeah.
they don't go, you're difficult too. Love you, honey. Yes,
Right.
not that I
You
expected
are.
that, but they really
difficult.
didn't
Really
touch on that much.
Yeah.
And that didn't really go
Right.
anywhere. And then I will say, as far as the Finn and Rose, I know that was kind of abrupt for a lot of people. In one of the novels that leads into Rise of Skywalker, they do. I think that it must have just gotten out there that like brace yourselves, they're not going to be together. Because in one of the novels leading into it, they do talk about how they talked about it. They're kind of just friends, and they do
Yeah.
address it a
Ooh,
little
they
bit.
set it up. All
And
right.
so it is kind of like it was quickly a friend zone thing.
Mm.
But it is a little bit abrupt rewatching Rise of Skywalker, where you see them kiss in that moment in The Last Jedi, and then
Yep.
they have this conversation in Rise of Skywalker, as far as Finn and Rose, and they're talking about like, if we win, and he just when and like pats her on the shoulder and like walks by like, ooh, that's a buddy move. That was
Right.
that was definitely like, hey, go get him, champ. Like it definitely,
Mhm.
you could just feel that they decided not to continue with that. But
It happens.
we all wish there was more Rose. We all wish there was more
Yeah.
Rose.
Yeah.
She was a great character.
It
Paige
could be.
too.
It could be.
Paige was great.
Paige was a hero.
Hey, I
couldn't
got
have more
I got a
Paige there 'cause she
correction
died.
too. Ellie is actually Micah.
Oh,
Oh, well,
Micah.
that's a
hello,
Look, he was clarifying. I guess he's.
was a
You know, how
Scooby-
you log in as somebody else, and then you're like,
oh yeah. I don't think I've ever logged in as myself.
I don't think I have.
it was
either.
a Scooby Doo moment. You pull off the
Right.
mask and
Oh.
Elliot,
Ruh-roh.
Really? It's
Like,
Micah.
look out,
Yeah.
Scoob.
I like Scoob.
Like,
Ellie is
hey.
Micah.
Like,
Yeah,
man.
so that's as far as the romantic. I don't know if we had any more romantic ties that we want to
No.
go into there, but
No.
there's a couple things that just. Am I dying for answers there? Not
If we're
really.
g-
I
hey,
think
I
that's
got
more
one.
of a behind the scenes thing. Of
Right.
Like they decided
I
to go
got
a
one.
different direction.
Can I just throw this out there too?
Throw it.
For our retcon folks out there,
Ooh.
anti-retcon folks,
Yeah.
we talked about this before. We fondly remember the original, and forget
Yes, we
all
do.
of the things that were like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So we try to be gracious about the sequels, the prequels,
Sure.
because they're all
That
for
is an
our
important-
joy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not
That's an important
necessarily
distinction.
perfect. Not going to be
If-
perfect.
We talked about this in a previous episode. If we dissected and absorbed A New Hope,
Ooh, if it came out today,
ooh, as much as we love it, if we dissected and had the million YouTube videos pointing out of why is
Man.
this,
Oh,
this,
man.
this, people would say that's
The Twitter hate.
Oh, I mean, what's funny is
Oh, man.
there are. I saw it. There was like a YouTube video of someone made who's just
Man.
who was defending some old, who was defending the way that was defending the sequel trilogy, and they pointed out.
Oh,
By the
those-
way, here's some old articles of people back
Oh
in
yeah.
ripping Empire Strikes Back, and here's a
Yeah.
huge critic at the time saying it was the biggest waste of time he ever saw. It's mumbo jumbo garbage that's gonna just waste of time for children. It'll never catch on. Like,
oh
well,
man,
there's you're not always right. But it's just funny if we dissected the
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
did Obi-Wan say Darth? Is Darth his first name? Like there's a lot of things
Yeah.
that all of
Only
a sudden,
master of evil now.
Yeah.
Anakin
Right,
or Leia remembers her mother. But
Right.
Right.
She was only alive for 12 seconds.
Right.
Like it's
exactly.
there's a lot of
I
stuff
got-
there. But that's
yeah.
just what happens when that's the behind the scenes. The real world is that they're still making
Sure.
the movies. As
Very
it goes.
few people make a movie like Peter Jackson,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Peter Jackson
where
will be
you
the
think
first to tell
through
you.
every element of a 15-hour saga.
Yeah.
I think
They
it
don't
was-
always make movies like that. It
We-
just they happen as you go.
I know you watched the Zoom Peter Jackson
Oh,
reunion with all, and
yes.
they were talking
Oh,
about
my
Peter
gosh.
doing the whole thing, and he
He's a
said, "Oh, when
freak.
I did it, I realized why it's never done. It's
Right.
almost impossible.
Yeah.
Doing
Crazy.
2 years straight in New Zealand, recording all these movies before a single one comes out would just—he's like, it wouldn't even be greenlit anymore. You can't do that.
No
No.
way.
Nobody's
No.
gonna do that.
Although I
It's
heard
just-
they might be doing something similar for the show,
The show now, Amazon is trying to do.
but it's
Stuff like
also
that.
Amazon. So.
But, yeah.
But I got one more thing on the romantic side of things.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily unanswered questions, but a little bit of speculation. Where do things go if Kylo lives? Now, not necessarily from
Mm.
like was that just a heat of the moment thing between Rey and Kylo, kind of like you saved my life, I saved your life, you saved my life, you're one of us is about to die type
Give me a
thing,
kiss.
like yeah, or was there actually something there because of the dyad, the force that they had, and all that? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, here's a good one. On that, is Kylo behind bars for the rest of his
Well,
life?
yeah. I mean, aside from that, he'd
He
have to
murdered
answer
trillions.
for his scratch.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
By the way, do they have jails in Star Wars?
I don't know.
Nobody's
I
ever
think they
gone
just throw
to.
'em
There's
in
never been a
space.
post-war like war crimes
No.
tribunal.
No.
No one's ever been held accountable for
Right,
anything.
right,
You
right,
just-
right.
They
You
just
murdered
hire
them,
a
I'm gonna
bounty
come after
hunter.
you.
and-
That's it.
I think they, man, I think that's a perfect fit.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have that connection already. It's
They do. They
They
both
understand
kind of
each other on a level
Right.
that
they
people
understand
don't.
each other, kind of on the opposite side of the coin, but they both were trying to figure out who they were the whole time.
right, right.
Even though Kylo would probably not admit it,
Mhm.
really the whole time that was what was eating him up inside the whole
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Rey was more open about I'm trying to find my place in this whole thing.
Mhm.
Don't really know it, and then finds out the truth about who she is. It's kind of the opposite side of the coin, but they both were on this journey to figure out who they were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, Kylo or Ben / Kylo is how do I show that I'm my own person despite this upbringing of all these legends in this legendary
Yeah.
bloodline and family and royalty? How do I be my own person? And then, like you said, Rey has come from nothing. How do I prove that I am somebody, even if I don't
Right.
have the name behind me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah. What else you got?
I got some good ones. Some of these are a little bit more of some are lighthearted, kind of poking fun of. Yeah, interesting choice. I wonder where they went with that.
Oh, let's do one
So
of
it-
those. That sounds fun.
Here's one. So I thought about this in the theater when I first was watching Rise of Skywalker. I was interested that they did, and again, this could be, maybe this is some distant EU going back. Maybe they use this from old stuff that's no longer canon, but I was surprised that they used a Sith Wayfinder instead of a holocron.
Holocron.
Yeah.
Just
that's
because
good.
it's shaped like a holocron.
Yeah, they intentionally
Everyone's
made
very,
it look kind of like
very
that.
familiar. Everyone who, at least the diehard Star Wars fans who watched
Sure.
Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff. Right
Yeah.
when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, we're gonna get this is a holocron."
Oh yeah, for sure.
It makes sense too. There's like even like red and stuff inside it, and then they're like, "It's a wayfinder." I was like, "Oh,
A
I
what?
felt a little cheated
to
by
find
it.
the way." I mean, I
A
get the name,
wayfinder?
but
I'll
yeah.
say it. I felt a little cheated on that one.
I just felt like, "Oh, interesting choice."
Yeah.
But wouldn't a holocron though indicate there's a lot more to it than
Yeah.
just direction?
Yes.
Sure.
So I was
It
thinking
could be that they're limiting it to
Yeah.
just the
Could be.
map,
Could
right?
be.
Yeah.
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 I was like, if there's
Which
a way
makes
to
sense.
do it,
I
they
mean-
could be like, it opens and there's a Sith
Yeah.
thing about something about the answers this you seek is on
Right.
Exegol
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
Which makes sense because we're under the I guess the speculation, the idea that there were more like Sith artifacts. There's Jedi artifacts, Sith artifacts out there. It wasn't just holocrons. It's the only thing
Right.
they had type deal.
Yeah.
So it makes sense
Totally.
that it was there. It was a little weird that it would look very,
that's the only
very
thing.
similar.
Right.
I was
to a
almost just
holocron,
surprised when
or
they
a
said
Sith
the name and it
holocron.
wasn't holocron. I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
Making it look like the Sith
Yeah.
temples and stuff. Was,
Again, I don't have any problem with it whatsoever. It was just one of those things
Yeah.
where in the
was
moment
cool.
I was like, oh, that's actually just not what I expected.
Not what I
Yeah.
expected.
Not what I expected.
Yeah.
But
Micah says there's a jail in episode 8. There was.
there was, because that's where we get
Because that's where we get
yeah.
Benicio del
Benicio
Toro.
del Toro. Yeah.
Not really that's true.
Another unanswered question. Maybe my favorite villain.
Yes, he's
That's
Thanks,
true.
thanks, Micah, for mentioning that. I
That's
love that
fantastic.
character.
Oh, I
Micah just-
love him.
Micah
Also,
just sent us on a whole nother
sent
thing
me on
too.
a whole other thing. I was gonna say
Way to go.
Master
What-
Codebreaker.
What happens? Yeah.
Yes.
So what
Finn and
happens if they
Rose.
find the master code breaker?
Yeah.
And also, this master code breaker, who's the
Love
'cause
that.
we get him. We get Benicio del Toro in jail, who ends up being able to help them because he's like a hacker and can do stuff.
Yeah.
But this super rich, my darling, playing craps and stuff like that on
Right.
I was playing roulette, something.
Yeah.
Oh, it's craps. Yeah. What if they found him? How does that plan work? It's almost one
Yeah.
of those things.
So they did get to the guy.
Yeah.
Right.
So what happens if it just goes
Does
off?
he even help him? He's
Does
like,
he?
no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I've got
Just,
so much to
anything,
lose.
anything for Maz, or does he just?
Right.
Just interesting. It's one of those things of what was the actual plan
What
at
if it
Jabba's
actually
palace.
works?
It
Yeah.
reminds me of the Luke. Luke comes
Yeah.
in.
What if
but
it worked?
Leia's a thing. What was the plan that if this was
That
plan A,
didn't
if
work.
it worked? Because it's
Right.
like there's a hodgepodge. We know it didn't work.
Right.
What was the plan?
It goes exactly right.
Luke's trying to give away the droids. Was the plan that
What
like
was
they would
that?
then release him and then Luke would say psych and then kill Jabba and take the droids back, or was he like 3PO?
You really are
we
going
got to
there.
get Han out of there, and you're a droid. We're gonna give
Right.
you.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
I don't know.
Someone brought that up like within the last couple of years, and I was like, I've never thought of that. What was the plan there? We know that Lando's in there.
Yeah.
Right.
We know that Leia comes dressed up. Luke shows up finally with the droids, falls into the Rancor pit, or like, yeah, what was?
Okay.
Did they have a plan that said, all right, we're sending in this. This doesn't work. Lando, just stay there and drink for a while. I don't know, kind of do your thing,
Right.
And then,
By the way,
Leia
R2,
come
you
in-
keep my lightsaber the whole time.
yeah. I won't need it.
There's a lot of questions there. But again, that's one of those things we look fondly on the old
Right.
and we don't question it. At the
Hannah's
time.
Right.
Hannah's sending us on another great. This is another great one. If you
Is
guys
this
wanna-
Hannah or is this Micah?
This is Hannah.
Oh,
Okay.
Hannah says Hannibal. I'm
Oh,
assuming that's a Hannah. Hannah. In The Last Jedi, what about the kids who can use the Force? at the end,
Ooh,
or the kids in the middle.
Yeah.
Those,
Yeah.
the one who pulls the
Yeah.
broom up. And
Tamari Blagg is the name of Broom Kid. They finally
Yeah,
gave him a name
yeah.
in like
I
one of the
think-
books
They did?
or comic or something.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say I think that like it was Ryan Johnson's way of saying that there's more than just like having the Force. You could be born with it too.
there's hope. Yeah.
It wasn't retconning. It wasn't saying that there's nothing to do with blood.
Yeah.
Obviously there is. Look at how Luke turned out after, coming from Anakin. And you know what I mean? So we know that there's strength and force abilities and power with your heritage, with your blood, but it is also showing and that there's more out there. There's more to the Force, which to me makes more sense when you talk about balance of the Force. If that's really the way it works, if someone dies, what's the Force going to do? Okay, this one's going to be
Raise
someone else is
another
going
one
to be
up.
born with the Force.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that there's possibilities for some people to just be born with the Force. Look at Anakin. Anakin didn't have a father.
Right.
So, like, I mean, obviously the Force has its way of making, people have different various amounts of abilities and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
So he's just a kid.
that's what I took it as.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe he's
I-
someone that we know.
I took it as, especially because it's played as far as the sequence of events. It's after. I think that scene was shown that Luke has inspired hope in the galaxy.
Yeah. It still goes.
And
It still
that-
goes on.
sure.
and that the Force still lives on, and that because of that, here's someone, he's not ready. He has no place in this fight whatsoever.
right.
But there's, like you said, the Jedi are not done. Force users are not done. This is someone down the line who might realize his ability, and maybe that's something that they actually use in a story later on. But
yeah.
but as a
Leave it to Ryan
8-year-old
Johnson
kid,
to plant a seed, to then take that and go. That's gonna be the next.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's the next trilogy.
that's it.
That's
You guys
Ryan's
set up?
trilogy right there.
Could
That's the
be.
kid.
Breaking news, we've got it confirmed. He's next trilogy.
Breaking news.
Uncle's
You heard it
broken
here first.
There it is.
That's
Yeah.
it.
No, for sure. For sure.
That would be
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, I definitely took it. Like I said, I kind of took it as
Mhm.
it's someone out there that had the Force, didn't necessarily come from someone we know,
Mhm.
but just showing that there's other people out there, and it's such a big galaxy. I feel like Star Wars, it's such a big galaxy, but we're so narrowed on the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
These characters, and forgetting that there's so much more stuff that's going on. That there's probably a lot of others out there that could be people offspring from people that survived the Clone Wars, got away.
Right.
We don't know, but
So is Ryan Johnson then tongue in cheek saying the title is really not The Last Jedi? The
Yes.
Last Jedi.
Yeah.
No.
exactly.
Well,
Yeah,
yes,
there's
exactly.
more.
Yeah,
That's why.
and especially at the end with Luke's line, of,
Right.
And I will not be the last Jedi.
Right.
I mean, he's basically confirming at the
That's
end. like,
exactly right.
Yeah.
I was thinking what you thought too, Kylo. I was
Mhm.
thinking those things. This is the end. But now he's saying, no, the rebellion's
And that's
reborn.
another
It's
one you
not the
had.
Last Jedi.
I started. That was another unanswered question. See you around, kid. Was that just
Oh,
a
yeah,
yeah,
was that
you
just
brought
a
that up.
phrase maybe?
Yeah, so
Was that a Han
Yeah.
Solo nod?
I was going with that too. I was going to come up with that. I was going to bring that up next. Is I wonder, because I know that line then also led to a lot of speculation. I remember even us talking about like, well, we were pretty sure that. So obviously, Luke dies. See you around, kid. Okay, he's coming back as a Force ghost. Then there was even speculation of like, is he going to be haunting like Kylo's tormented soul in the
Right.
next episode of like, there's Luke who's like, or who's just like shows up and has conversations with him and stuff like that. That he would see you around, kid. I'm going to talk to you again. To our knowledge, at least, because well, now again there was a year in between, I guess, as far as the timeline of Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi. But from what we saw on screen, we never saw any interaction with Luke after that. But it does feel very Han Solo. I mean, that's such a
Solo.
Han Solo line. See you around, kid.
See you around, kid.
Yeah.
And whether it means literally you'll see my ghost or see you around because now I'm going to be, like he says, you
Right.
strike me down, I'll be with you. I'll always be with you just like your father.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
who does see him around, kid? Han Solo.
Mm-hmm.
Han Solo literally
Yeah.
sees him with
That's
the
true.
memory thing that actually gets him over
Yeah.
the hump. In one of the most emotional scenes in all of Star Wars, that's one of the ones that made me tear up in
Oh man.
at the
Yeah.
wreckage of
I did
the
not see that
Death
coming.
Star, and
I did
I
not
would
see that
never have. I would have bet
Did
money
not-
there's
did
no way
not
they
think
could
he
get
was
Harrison
coming
to come back again,
Mm-mm.
and then just such a
Yeah.
good emotional scene. But
Yeah.
that also this is the way the podcast goes. This spins off into another thing. Force Ghosts. A line from A New Hope. Strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
Is he more powerful, or does he just kind of from time and time again
Show
now
up
he
and
just
lie.
say Luke and show up and lie and
Lie to Luke.
show up
Well,
and lie.
Classic
lie.
Obi-Wan.
It seems like
Convince people to kill their dad.
Yeah.
now this is maybe a tongue-in-cheek answer, and again we love poking fun at stuff too. He seems less powerful being dead.
Yeah.
If I had to,
From what if I had
if I had to
guess,
really weigh, I mean, if we look at the pros, and I mean, if you look really close,
if I look, I do think that Vader has an easier time with Obi-Wan now gone and just being
Just
a
made me
ghost
think of another one.
over Luke's shoulder, helping him, telling him
Right.
to turn off his Navicomputer and stuff. Now he helps Luke and he's able to do stuff. Vader never has to encounter him ever again. So he's strike me down, become more powerful. Are you sure? Like,
Are you
you're
sure? 'Cause
gone.
now you're out of my
would-
way.
I would argue this though.
Yeah.
I would argue this.
Again, part of this is just
If-
tongue-in-cheek,
if-
but
In a sense, Obi-Wan is able to visit Luke on Dagobah.
true.
Vader couldn't.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan is able to talk to Luke in the X-Wing as he's attacking the Death
Yeah.
Star. Vader couldn't.
And
Yeah.
from a certain point of view,
A
is
certain
Obi-Wan
point of
is
view.
Obi-Wan not more dangerous now as a guide to Luke because Luke can undo Vader.
Than
That's
an
right.
Old,
An
than an
old
guy
Ben
who
cannot.
wasn't-
That's exactly
And
right.
if you think about it, it comes full circle in Just a New Hope. Is that old Ben is the one talking to him about use the Force, and Luke does not go through that trench run successfully and
Yeah.
blow up
Without
the Death
that.
Star without a Force Ghost
So in a
old
sense,
Ben talking to him.
Force Ghost Obi-Wan
Right.
brought down the Death Star.
The question I would guess I would have then though is what he's able to do something that we've seen live Jedi do too? Because we have seen Luke say
That's-
like
that's-
Leia
Well,
and
that's
like
the
talk,
thing.
but not in the same
That's
guidance way from you're not here and you're able
Right.
to talk to me like that. But
No, that's the thing. I was gonna touch on that. Before I do, I was just gonna say we're giving shout outs. J-Man, Joe, welcome. I see
Yeah.
the let's
Joe.
Go in the chat. Welcome to the first
Hey,
ever
man.
live.
when's Joe coming on the podcast?
He wants to. I've brought it up too. We'll get him on here.
In fact, Joe, come on out. We're in.
Joe,
Hey, Joe.
Joe's
No.
been
Just kidding.
commenting
Joe's
from the
been
green
hiding in
room.
the back every time, waiting for us to call him out.
From the
No.
green room, or as George calls it, the green screen room.
I've actually never met Joe. I don't know Joe.
You've heard about
Good
him
guy.
a lot, though.
Heard a lot about him.
Heard a lot
We've
about
read many a Joe question on
That's
Yeah.
true.
on here. He has some good
Very
social media
insightful.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
tell.
what I was gonna say is talking at least to an interesting point. What is the extent of the Jedi Force Ghosts? What are they capable of doing? Because we see then in the Rise of Skywalker, it was kind of at first initiated with Obi-Wan of they can communicate with you, give you guidance, right? Maybe even teach you, pass on their knowledge. But how much of their abilities physically can they still do?
Mm.
We see Luke catch his lightsaber.
We see Yoda.
Ray throws a lightsaber. He catches it, tells her to respect the weapon of a
Yeah.
Jedi Knight.
Last
or
Jedi,
of a
Yoda,
Jedi.
lightning strikes the tree.
Lightning strike. He also raises the X-wing. What is the extent of Force Ghost abilities? I don't know. It
That's
seems
good.
like if they can do that, they should still be out there fighting.
Yeah,
am I
really.
not- should they not all be there with Rey as she takes on? And they were in a sense. But
They were.
physically in the battle, if they can do that stuff,
That'd
you're
be
telling me
pretty
Yoda
cool.
can't just go strike down some.
Isn't
some
Order
Star
66 the
Destroyers?
best thing that could ever happen to the Jedi?
You
Strike
can
me
strike
down and we
down.
all become more powerful than you
Yeah.
could possibly imagine.
It would have been.
It was
Can
Yoda's
someone-
elaborate plan. I knew all along.
Can someone make a fan video
Strike
of
them all
that
down.
edit of right when people are coming through and all the clones from sorry sir they turn on him and
Right.
all the Jedi go to the old Ben, just hold the lightsaber and they all just get mowed down and they all have smiles on their face. And they're just
Well,
like,
spoiler alert.
We would
apparently
argue-
that's what happens in the High Republic. they
Right.
all just say,
I
now,
would throw
now
this
we also
out
should
that-
say that Qui-Gon's the one who learned how to.
That's right, and not
conquer
all Jedi
True.
do that.
And that was
And-
later. That was later down the line.
That's
so,
right.
Is it? Are we sure Qui-Gon was he the first?
There wa-
I mean,
I
that's
believe
what
it
they make it
is.
seem, right? He was the first one to learn it.
Because he
I believe it is, yeah.
communicated with Yoda.
Because
from-
Yoda says Qui-Gon's learned to do this. He can teach you how to communicate.
Yes.
It's
We
yeah,
found
that's
at
the
the
from
end
the
of
Netherworld.
Yeah.
Of course,
Clone
yeah.
Wars, right?
Which
Yeah.
I do think we'll see in the Obi-Wan show. I think we'll
I
see.
want some-
I think we're gonna get.
I would
They may-
love
I think
some.
we'll
They
get
Liam
might
Neeson.
Liam
rewrite the rules of Force Ghosts
Yeah.
because we've added little. I mean, Luke catching the saber.
Right.
We may see other things that.
I think we're
Yeah.
gonna get a lot of, maybe not a lot, but I think we'll get some Qui-Gon communicating, get Liam Neeson back talking with Obi-Wan.
I've seen some Liam Neeson interviews in the last few years too, where he's specifically asked if he would ever come back. He's like, "Oh, I'd come back in a heartbeat."
He did
Like,
the Clone Wars
he loves
stuff.
it. Yeah, he
he's-
came back, did the voice.
Did the
for that.
voice.
He's
so
like,
yeah,
"Oh, I
he's-
loved." I saw an interview with him recently talking about some movie he was in, and he was zooming. He was like doing a Zoom call, and he's like, "Would you like to see my lightsaber?" And he pulls it. He's like, got it lit on his mantle behind him.
man.
They're like,
I'll tell
"This
you
is
what,
a dude who would come back."
I love the fact that everybody who's been involved with this likes it.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
that John Boyega doesn't want to be Disney Plus.
doesn't want to be Disney
Right.
Plus.
Please
but,
Disney Plus me now. I think that would be.
yeah, right. He's begging to be. Disney
Yeah,
Plus
wait.
now.
I think he was a little nearsighted on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
But
that was
I
a little-
like Star Wars. That's
Yeah.
I love that.
You're not going Disney Plus me, mate.
Man,
a couple years
Yeah.
later, could you please Disney Plus me?
I'll
Mate?
take it.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's
I'd
great.
take that.
Yeah.
Put me on. Disney. Put me on.
Kathy, sweet Kathy, we sing your praises on here all the time. Disney Plus
That's
me,
great.
please.
Also, real quick, name is 18. Nice username. Just watched Revenge of the Sith, and now watching your live stream. My night just got better. Thanks for
Oh
tuning in.
man,
Well,
awesome.
Ooh, Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge
That's
of
a
the
great
Sith.
one.
Feel free to throw out any unanswered questions that you
Yep.
have seen.
That would
and
be
we'll address 'em.
that would be my favorite ending of one of our podcasts when you yelled, "I hate you." That was like totally caught me off guard.
Great.
It's like may the force with you. I hate you.
I
That
hate
was
you.
a sign off. That was
That's
beautiful.
it. Which is why all of
Sorry.
our listeners, we do not hate you.
No.
But yeah, that's a tradition here at our Star Wars Guys podcast. Is we always end with a quote.
Start
Nate
and
always
end. We start
starts
and end.
starts normal, and then I just have some random finish that usually has nothing to do with it. Nate
You know-
did, the Force will be with you. And I don't ever go always. It's just something random.
It's always-
Something crazy.
You know, what we should do for one of the podcasts, one of our chairs should be elevated so that one of us has the higher ground.
We should.
That would
It's just change the
guarantee
name.
that you would
The
win.
High Ground Podcast. There's
would win
one
the-
chair
That'd be.
each week.
Yeah,
That's
which works unless you're Darth Maul. It
True.
always
Darth Maul's the only one that has defied those odds.
defied the odds. All right.
And
also
somehow
the whole
came out on
time.
top.
The whole time that they're on Mustafar doing all the flips. Did they? Were they on an even playing field every flip?
Right.
As soon as one's up here, they should say it's over, and then the person.
Ah.
Oh, you're right.
The saber down.
I give up.
Why'd I jump down when you were up there?
Yeah.
That was it.
That's
Well, the
another one of
random
those things.
nature of the Obi-Wan is the exact one who overcame the higher ground. What is he
You should
giving
know
advice
better.
for? I have
This
the
is-
higher ground.
This is.
Of, wait, if all
We
It
have a
didn't
whole
happen with Maul.
We have a plan. We have a whole planet, and I can use the Force. I can come over and jump off over here, and then fight you on even playing ground. I mean,
Apparently not.
If anybody could do what you do, it would be the chosen one.
That's right.
If
That's
anyone
right.
could defy it, it would
It's
be the chosen
great.
one.
We do that
Interesting.
because we love it.
We love it.
We
Oh,
love
yeah.
it.
We
love
also
it.
do understand that the whole point of
embrace-
that is to show Anakin's hubris, his
Hubris.
cockiness.
That's exactly
That's the whole
right.
point of it. It's not George is not
Exactly.
trying to teach us tactical.
Anakin
military
thinks he
moves.
is above all of the rules.
He's
Yeah.
trying to think,
He
hey,
can do it. Doesn't matter.
hey, you're in a bad spot. No, because I'm still more powerful than you. Whoop. Well, no, you're not.
Nope.
Yeah,
You're on
That's what
fire.
happened. You're on fire, and I'm gonna watch you
And
burn.
I'm gonna walk away because the smell
Ugh,
is
yeah. It's a-
awful.
oh, it's over. You want my brother? He's doing this. Oh. It's great.
Ellie says I have the high ground,
I
Anakin.
love it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Sorry, master.
Sorry, master. I didn't realize the high ground was a thing.
Not a kid.
Oh, are we moving on to the next one?
Yeah,
I
let's
got. I
get
still
it,
got a
let's get
couple
it.
more here.
Awesome.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
So one thing I would love to see more of, and again, this could be, we're detouring away from the sequel trilogy for right now because we've been talking a lot about sequel trilogy, but this is
I'll allow it.
Solo.
Ooh.
I would love to see the
Ooh.
continuation of Kira's character
Yeah.
with Crimson Dawn, and obviously for people who
Yeah.
watch Star Wars Rebels all the way through, we do see Maul in a further timeline. I don't want to say too much more than that. But we don't know what happens with Kira. We don't have any idea what
Sure.
Kira's fate is.
Yeah.
We obviously know where Han is, and that Han and
Sure.
Kira do not end up together.
Right.
Yeah.
But what is to become of
Yeah, no.
Kira's character?
It's
I
interesting
really liked your
because
character.
that's not like some of this other stuff where we can kind of see those answers coming. Like, for instance, Ezra, Thrawn. With the Ahsoka show coming out, we can kind of speculate this might be addressed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's not really
It's-
a need
the
to
tea
address
leaves
it
are
because
there.
we can see it coming.
Right.
They might. I think they'll come back to the Crimson Dawn stuff. I don't know how much they'll dive into Kira's character, probably, since it looks like she's kind of taken on that role.
Yeah.
But I think we'll get some, but because there's not really an announcement or any leaks about that yet,
Mm-hmm.
at least not that I'm aware of,
Yeah.
it is interesting to think of
It's one of
what's her
those for
power
fun.
look like, too. Like, she's climbing the hierarchy, but at the same time, Maul's at the top. So, I mean,
Right.
at what point is she at where she is now? Is that the top for her? Or what's it look like now? Is she just take on that role and that's it? Or is she now going to strive to try and undermine Maul? Or, like, where does it go? I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's
Unanswered.
it's one of those that's just there's a gap there as far as we've had a lot of, and again, just from a real world thing, like you said, there's a very good chance that they're already going back to doing Obi-Wan in that time period of in between, A New Hope and the Solo timeline, but in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. So I don't see them doing like, oh, we're going to do like 5 Disney Plus shows all about this time period,
Yeah.
especially with a lot of people, maybe rightfully so, saying we'd love to see you expand to go to some different stuff and
Right.
not have every single character or series be just of characters we already know. We want to see some new stuff. One of the reasons why we're all really excited for the Acolyte.
Sure.
Different
Yeah.
time period,
Totally different.
dark side
characters,
users,
probably, yeah.
new characters. Be really cool. Mandalorian has just shown that even within the same time period, you can thrive with brand new characters.
Yeah.
The 2 main characters of the show are Baby Yoda, a new character we didn't know, and obviously
Yeah.
with Mando himself. So it's one of those things where I don't necessarily see it. I don't see it probably coming in the next couple of years, but I would love. Nothing would make me happier as far as regarding that character if it eventually got some sort of a limited
Yeah.
series, like maybe just even like 6 episodes, like they did for Loki in the Marvel stuff of like, here's
Yeah.
a good storyline focusing just on this character and some stuff around.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
I'd
I
also
could
be
see that.
interested with
Crimson Dawn in general is cool.
even more of the past. How'd she even get to that point?
Yeah, the
Because she
time period in
mentions, like,
between
yeah, I got out.
of
but, like,
Corellia.
but
Yeah.
how did she get to where she was now?
About a
Right.
10-year gap there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It'd be interesting too to kind of
Yeah.
dive into some of that.
Might fit within something else.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
We've got one more that I wrote down here, and then I've got a couple others I thought of already.
Let's
Oh, all
Keep
right.
it
Let's
keep
go.
it
This
coming.
might be
I'm
a
loving
quicker
it.
one too. One thing I'd love to see, and I know they purposely didn't address a lot of the stuff on the back end of episode 9 or on the front end before episode 7 because they wanted the creators to not be tied down. They didn't want to give a bunch of stories of what was Luke doing post Return of the Jedi leading into episode 7 because they want to be able to tell those stories and
Right.
have
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson and J.J. Abrams be able to tell them the way they want to tell them.
Yeah.
But one of the things I would love to, and they hinted this in the Aftermath series a little bit, where they talk about some post Fall of the Empire stuff. They do it a little bit in Mando, but the First Order rise to power. How do we get from the
Mhm.
Ewoks singing Yub Nub at the end of Return of the Jedi? They're celebrating Empire's been defeated. To not only has there been a new rise in evil, but it's the boot of the First Order is literally crushing the Resistance
Yeah.
and
That's
is
right.
crushing the what.
Yeah.
My big thing is what I would love a political kind of drama of what went wrong with the New Republic,
Sure.
because I've heard other people talk about this too. It's one of the reasons why I like a lot of these shows. One of the things I'm trying to think of, I think it was an interview I saw. Actually, it was a YouTube interview I saw, like a 5-minute clip of George R.R. Martin, the writer
Yeah.
of Game of Thrones, was talking about how much he loved Tolkien's writing and how much he loved Lord of the Rings. And George R.R. Martin said, my favorite part of all the Lord of the Rings stuff is the end, the scouring of the Shire. I don't know how you pronounce scouring of the Shire,
Yeah.
which is after they destroyed the ring and they came back to the Shire. They had to then still run out the evil and Saruman and
It's not
everybody who was
finished.
there.
Yeah.
It's not finished.
Right.
And that's a lot of, I think, the real world stuff of what
Sure.
happens when you take down, when the Roman Empire falls.
Gotta go clean it up.
What
Right.
happens? There's still people out there that are loyal
Loyalists.
and this
Yeah,
and
there's-
this. And so I think it'd be really cool to just see whether it's a series or even just a book of just what was this specific. I love the beginning of things. I've been watching Beals Get Back. Love the
Mhm.
behind the scenes stuff, but even for stuff as evil as the Rise of the First Order, I'd love the specifics of how did stuff go so wrong, and in just a matter of 30 years,
Yeah.
you go from
Yeah.
New Republic being born to
Here we
Hosnian
go
Prime
again.
system destroyed.
Essentially, even stronger than it was before. I mean,
Stronger than it
now
was before.
they've got higher tech. They're blowing up multiple planets at
Yeah.
a time. I mean, yeah.
No, so
I'm
that's a
interested to know where the
long-winded answer.
name came from. Why is it the First Order?
Yeah.
I don't. How is this the first version of this? We know that the Emperor is behind it,
Yeah.
manipulating, always in the shadows, always
Mhm,
still
sure.
working. I think
Yeah.
manipulating
Specific to that
Snoke,
is-
manipulating Snoke. So there's a connection there.
Specific
it-
to that, I'd love to see the timeline of when Snoke slides in and
Yeah.
gets. And obviously, we have the Emperor as the puppet master pulling all the
Right.
strings, but does this First Order get built, and then Palpatine through Snoke says, "I'll have that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Insert you here."
That's true.
How does he become
Or did he?
Supreme
Well, let's-
Chancellor
No, I like it. Let's
Mhm.
throw out some ideas.
or Supreme Leader?
One, if you've been listening to our podcast in previous episodes, you probably heard me and all of us mention some of this.
Mm.
A lot of the shows right now seem to be all tied in some aspect to the cloning thing, right? And
Yeah,
some of
that's
these
true.
Keep coming
shows,
back to
whether
it.
it's Bad Batch, it's all post Order 66. Mando
Mando,
now is
Boba.
obviously after all
There's
of that,
all
but then there's a
ties.
lot of stuff that seems to be tying towards the cloning thing.
The
and
Clone
hinting at
Wars
this.
had a little bit of ties to cloning as
A
well.
little
bit.
bit. I mean,
Little bit.
loosely
There's a little
tied.
bit, yeah.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I thought there'd be more.
You would think.
But it seems like they're all coming. So are we going to get some of these answers about Snoke? In like, is that where things are leading? We've speculated some of that before. Thought about is that a direction things are going? So we could see some of that answered. I don't know. Maybe. I think some of the Ahsoka stuff. Spitballing. I think Thrawn is going to end up being the one.
He
that
just about
is-
has to be, doesn't he?
that is going to be maybe not with the Emperor, but he's going to be part of that crew that's behind the scenes doing stuff. And that's why we haven't seen him. And Ahsoka, because
Yes.
she's been so involved in the World Between Worlds, she's a lot more into the deeper, I guess, lore or deeper, side of the Force, bigger picture type thing. Mortis, that her going after Thrawn might kind of lead down that path a little bit. I don't know.
I think that's going to be where we're going.
Maybe. Plus, George always seems to have said that he's been interested in kind of telling more about the Force.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
shedding more light on the Force, the abilities, some, I guess, the Star Wars science behind it all.
Right.
Or so maybe they go down a little bit of that path of Mortis and things. Cloning.
Filoni likes Mortis.
Filoni likes Mortis.
Filoni's got a lot of influence over there right now. Could be.
Yeah.
I'd love just to even
Filoniverse.
the fate of
Love it.
fate of Ahsoka. Where's the end of her tale?
Yeah.
Filoni would tell you never.
No,
Yeah.
Never.
I don't think.
not
You'll
as long as
never-
we can keep it going.
Filoni says when I
We're
die,
gonna find out
Ahsoka dies.
she is the Force. That's what we're gonna find out. For sure. You said you had some other ones too, right?
I did. And I lied.
From a certain point of view, I have some
yeah,
other
some of
ones.
these were kind of linked in a little bit. One of the other things, going back to the sequel trilogy, this is kind of this is a little bit of a side tangent. It's not necessarily an unanswered question, but just a quick poll.
Sure.
Do we think an episode 10 ever gets made?
Wow.
Something I've been thinking about.
I
Do
think-
we think it ever gets made? And here's my question before you just quickly say like, "Oh yes, they'll make."
Oh yes.
But one thing I think about is does it feel though like, and there's a reason why they coined it, the Skywalker saga. With now, does it feel like an episode 10 versus starting a different trilogy or starting a different spin-off movie or a Rian Johnson trilogy over here or a Kevin Feige movie? there's a weight with going of episode 10. There's a continuation of
Yeah.
our stories of our characters. Maybe Daisy Ridley in 10 years or something like that. I don't think it's a rut. Like I don't think they're gonna go to film with Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, or Oscar Isaac for sure within the next few years. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a smart business move. I don't think that it's a smart.
Agreed.
I don't think the actors would do it. 5 years, maybe a little more
Yeah.
likely. 10 years. I'm sure Mark Hamill said even though he loved it, he's like, I'm done. I don't think it's ever gonna happen again, and then it happens. Harrison Ford said, I am not coming
I'm
back,
never doing
and then
he did 9
and
more
he
movies.
How much are they
and he did
paying?
it. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
just quick thoughts of whether or not.
I mean-
again, this isn't an unanswered question, but it is a question of where do you think that continues or does it not?
Disney Plus changes the whole game.
Yeah.
I think there is room to continue the story, but I'm not sure that it will be called episode 10.
You're speaking my language
Yeah.
here. I think
Yeah.
that's the most likely thing on a number of.
Yeah.
I think the pressure that what Disney Plus also does, a film has to hit a certain amount. There's a pressure of has to hit this opening weekend box
Right.
office.
Right.
Right.
You can't do these other movies around it. Even Marvel it's changed a little bit with the pandemic, but many people didn't go out to the theaters, I believe, to see. I love Shang-Chi. I think that movie's fantastic. I really like Black Widow.
Yeah.
It is with a lot of things coming simultaneously. I know there are
Definitely
people that are
changing
kind of like, oh, just let me know when the next
Yeah.
Avengers movie comes out, and then I'll go see
Yeah.
that one. They weren't going to see everything as much because there was a lot of it. But with the Disney Plus shows, I watched WandaVision, loved it. And then I was like, oh, a month later or 2 months later, we got Falcon Winter Soldier, great. Then we got Loki, love it. Now we've got Hawkeye, love it. It does feel like Star Wars is able to, and with the volume, they've already talked about this,
Yeah.
they can have multiple things in production at the same time. You can't
Yeah.
have multiple movies and promote for multiple movies the way you can have multiple shows in development. Just it's a
Right.
different thing.
Right.
So I would bet that
Yeah.
if the continuation of those characters is more likely, especially if we're going to say sooner than 10 years from now, I would say that the
Yeah.
most likely is that it would be in a
Yeah.
series.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think
But does
Like
a 10 ever get
like-
made?
exactly like you're saying. I don't think a 10 will ever get made. I think the Skywalker saga is over. Do I think the story, whether it's a 10 or not a 10, will continue with a story that they have in mind? I do think that. I don't think it'll be called 10 because the saga's over, but I think they will continue eventually with Rey, Poe, Finn. I think they'll come back eventually in a matter of time, and it'll be kind of like how the prequels or the sequels were, where Luke and them came back, but it wasn't about Luke. The
They're
story
now
was
the older
Rey's story.
generation.
So this is
Yeah.
now a Skywalker, Rey, right? Now a
Yep.
Skywalker will come back, could have Skywalker Academy, whatever, but it's going to follow a core group that will now have a new saga or a new trilogy about a different name, about something else, you know? And I think that's kind of where they'll continue the story, but it won't be an episode 10. It'll be a continuation of the characters, could have some spin-offs,
Right.
but not necessarily
I'm
that
s-
approach.
I'm so down on movies now, just in general because of the landscape of streaming.
Yeah.
I love movies, but I don't. It's just a total different dynamic now. I've told
Yeah.
my kids this. We talk about the Jungle Cruise movie,
Oh, yeah.
Disney Plus.
Yeah. The Rock.
Yeah.
That's a
Emily
$200 million commercial.
Yeah.
That's what
It-
that
it
is.
So it is. Yeah.
That's exactly
So
what it
you're
is.
driving everybody to Disney Plus. And I was just curious about this because we're talking about episode 10 and that there was a lot of flack. Ridley Scott made the movie The Last Duel.
I just saw it. Yeah. And I saw the news about that. Yeah.
He's just so mad. $29 million worldwide gross.
Worldwide. Yeah.
29 million.
I heard it was like 3 million in the United States.
So
and it was like $100 million to
Probably.
make.
I mean,
it
it's
was
a-
like 100 or 200.
it's
That
a
was
ma-
for
for the last duel. The
Last
Ben
Duel.
it's a
and
Matt Damon, Ben Affleck written Ridley
Wow.
Scott,
Ridley
who's
Scott, who
action-
did Gladiator.
Oscar winning. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the writing on the wall. I mean, I just don't see
no.
any studio going, yeah, let's put $200 million into a movie that doesn't have a platform other than the theater.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
No, they've got to have a contract now with something.
Have
They'll
to.
still do the theatrical release,
Mhm.
Yeah. So
but
it
they
could
will make
be.
the money off of getting people to their service, which
So-
is why you see so many of these the television channels and stuff teaming up with whether it's Netflix,
Right.
creating their own thing, Disney,
Right.
buying them out, whatever it is, going to these stream HBO.
Yeah.
With Warner Brothers, right?
Yep.
That's kind of their thing. All the DC stuff's going to Warner Brothers.
Yep.
So it's or going to HBO Max.
Yeah.
So I mean, you see, that's the direction where they'll still do it in theaters, but they really want the subscription because they make literally billions of dollars a month
Yeah.
off of their
Massive.
service.
So
It's
if we
crazy.
do an episode 10,
Yeah.
it could be. It might be a theater thing, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's. I think you. I think
I
you
feel like
nailed,
it
though,
more like
that
a
it's
streaming. I
likely
feel
that
it
they
more
would
like-
continue the
I
stories,
feel like it would. The story
Yeah.
would go on.
but it's a Disney Plus or that it would somehow distance itself. The hard thing right now.
Saying it's over and then it's not over would be.
The hard thing
Yeah.
right now is picturing. There's a lot of pressure on whatever. So I don't even know if we talked about it on here, but so Rogue Squadron was delayed
Delayed,
indefinitely. Essentially, it sounds like there's a question of whether or not it'll end up getting made now. I
Right.
think. One of the things that it raises the question is, so that was for 2023. I know that there are rumors that like, oh, they may be delayed because they actually want to slide a different project in its place.
Yeah.
What will be the next Star Wars movie? They're killing it on Disney Plus, and I do, and I still love the Star Wars films. There is
Yeah.
a lot of pressure following, especially with just the way the fandom is,
Yeah.
following and being like, even when they decide, okay, one of the things about Disney Plus, when you have the Acolyte, you have Kenobi, you have this, you can do all the different timelines you want simultaneously. They're
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
Mando. Okay, great. We got our post Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Uncle, you've already talked about. That's like a lot of your favorite timeline in Star Wars of stormtroopers, the
Oh, man.
rebels, the Empire.
Yeah.
That's
nostalgia.
what I
Right,
grew up on.
right.
That's the stuff I love probably even the most. I
Yeah.
love that as much as Jedi. Like I love that warfare type of that.
Yeah. Right.
Then you have the Kenobi stuff. Great. We're going to go get answers about one of the most popular characters of all time during this time period with the actor literally at the perfect age now to play that character. Great. Then we have the Acolyte going a whole different time period. As soon as you say we're going to do a new trilogy and just even pick a time period, the way, and again, for better
Yeah.
or worse, there's going to be a number of fans that go, High Republic? I don't know what that is. I have no interest in that.
Right.
Or, we're going back to this time period I already know. Can they not think of something
Right.
new? And then you just have people that automatically
That's right.
get, but if you have a Disney Plus show, Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm not that interested, but Loki, I love that. That's
Yeah.
coming out next month.
Right.
Well, maybe I skip this one and I watch this one. Or it's hard because when you go all in on
Yeah.
it, you're going to, and again,
Sure.
it doesn't mean you can't succeed. Marvel
Dis-
still has
Sure.
having some big movies as
Well,
well.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But it is hard when you finish something as big as Skywalker Saga and then you finally pick up the ball and say, we're going to run with it again in the theaters.
The time
What's gonna
frame
be
of
the next
pushing it all. I'm all in on this movie.
Yeah.
Those days are over.
I think
It's
so.
hard.
I don't think they're doing that anymore.
No. I mean, but in a way, they can almost take more risk now. Because
Disney
if a
can.
yeah, that's what I
Disney
mean.
can.
The ones with the streaming stuff can
That's
take
right.
a little bit more risk because they know even if this movie flops,
It's a
we
commercial.
make a movie, we make a Solo 2.
Right.
It flops. Guess what? We still have all the Star Wars movies that you're going to rewatch, and so you're still going to stay subscribed to our stuff.
But
That's
you're
right.
saying a
So
Solo
there's still
2 in theaters, or you're
Oh,
saying
no. I'm saying being able to put them on Disney Plus,
Yeah.
whether it comes to theaters or not, even if it comes to theaters and flops, they still have an idea of how much money they can make based off drawing people to their subscription because they can test it. But I was saying more based off not theatrical release, putting it straight on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
They've got more leeway because people are going to stay subscribed relatively regardless of one. You're not. If Solo 2 comes out and it flops, I'm not going to I'm canceling Disney Plus. No.
Yeah.
Because I'll wait for the next one to come out.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So they have some leeway to still be, hey, we can still count on $1 billion this month,
Right.
regardless.
They made a ton off of like Mulan, just
Yeah.
straight
Yeah.
to premiere, like premiere access.
And they got the premium access. I think
And
what you mentioned
I don't
too
know.
was interesting.
This is all about Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
This is still all of our unanswered questions, right? I love it. I love this is just veered into. This is the podcast.
This is the podcast.
These are our unanswered questions
this
of what
is
Disney is going to do.
Well, unanswered. Where do they go next? Right?
Exactly.
You
this
brought
all
up,
ties together.
You brought up the what's it? The Rangers. What is it called?
Rangers of the New Republic.
That's been officially
Right.
canceled. Yeah.
And
or
then
not.
Yeah.
Well, I think Kathy came out in the. I think it was Empire
Co-shoot
magazine or
Gina.
something.
Canceled.
Said. Yeah, and she said that. Yes, Rangers of the New Republic is not moving forward.
Right.
A lot of people don't know. We hadn't even written scripts for that or anything.
Yeah.
We
It's
had
not
greenlit
related.
the idea.
Yeah.
She said it wasn't very far along.
Right.
It was one of the things that we saw a roadmap where it could be something, and then we decided, no, that's not what we're going to do.
Plus,
As
I
a lot
heard
of it
they
probably
might tie
comes
some
with
of
the
that
Chrono
story
stuff,
into
and it's-
Mando.
She did say, I think she even in her quote said, and some of the ideas we had could tie into other stories
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
But Rogue Squadron too.
Or Squadron,
So
yeah.
if that ends up not happening, or if it's pushed back, to replace it with something else, talking about it's a question, where's it go? You made me think of this of like, there might be people that are like, just give me something completely. Skywalker saga's over. Whether you're frustrated with how it ended or not, give me something newish, fresh. Do they, as a business, make the decision of let's make something completely new and kick it off with Rogue Squadron? There might be some ties to it, but just kind of a one-off movie. Or are we going to make the decision to go for something that's new, but still has Star Wars fan base, which is a rumor I've heard of. Part of the, I have no idea if this is true or not. This is completely rumored, so don't take this for true.
I know where you're going with this,
Is there was a rumor going around that one of the reasons for them pushing it back was they wanted to move up a Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic movie, which it has. This is kind of where I'm going with this. Business-wise, it has a fan base.
Mhm.
There's a lot of Star Wars people. I loved. It's my favorite game of all time, Knights of the Old Republic. It's a different era of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Never been on the big screen before. It's just
Mhm.
coming from the video game, coming from, whether it's comics, novels. But not being on screen allows it to be new and fresh, but still have a core group of Star Wars people that are like, I want to see some of this on screen.
Mhm.
So it's not completely new. Like, let's start with something completely new, and then if they don't like that, it's like, well, I don't like the new thing already off of the first movie.
Yeah.
You kind of can rely a little bit on having somewhat of a fan base coming into a decision like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if that happens, like for me, example one, I would love it. I'm like, bring it on. I want to see some Old Republic guy because I love that era. It's so interesting.
It's tricky. People want new, but they don't want new.
Right.
They want something. They want the same, but they don't want it the same.
It's tough. I mean, we've talked
It's like
about it.
music. I want something new that sounds like what I already like.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's hard. I mean,
That's
Yeah.
we've
It's
joked
hard.
about it before, but the truth was like we said, Force Awakens comes out. Initially, yeah, like very overwhelming, and still to this day,
Yeah.
it's pretty almost universally, at least really enjoyed.
Right.
There aren't a ton of people who just hate it. When the criticism started happening, there was a lot of people started saying, "Isn't this a retread
it's
of
the
New
same
Hope?
movie.
It's
Right.
a lot of New Hope." Okay, instead of Death Star, we have Starkiller Base. It's bigger, and this. Okay, there's a lot, and even JJ, I think in recent years, in an interview said like, "Yeah, we kind of played it safe. We wanted to make sure
Yeah.
we hit the fan base, especially
Yeah.
coming off the prequels." People said this is not the feel or the texture. Like they went back to stuff looking used. They did the
Right.
things
Right.
they wanted to feel like as much like A New Hope as possible, maybe to a
Right.
fault. Then people said, "I want something new."
So we
Ryan
got that
Johnson
with
said,
Ryan
"Well,
Johnson.
buckle up because I'm going to give you the
There's-
most new, different
Right.
thing." And the most common criticism I hear all the time, not even just a plot point, is I hear it all the time. People saying, "Just didn't feel like a Star Wars movie to me.
That's not my Luke.
Yeah.
That's not my Luke. That's
Yeah.
not," or even like someone's like, "The comedy doesn't feel the same," or "This doesn't
Right.
feel the same." And some could be true. There's not all comedy doesn't hit for me either.
Right.
There a lot of it does, a lot of it doesn't. But it's funny because they take risks, and then you're like, "Whoa, now that was too crazy." Like reel it in, and then JJ goes, "Okay, well, you liked what I did with the. I'm going back to do 9. You liked what I did with 7. You want me to take more risks. I'm gonna have the feel of 7 while taking more risks." And then people see that and they go, "Ah, we're done with this.
This is terrible.
this is
This
the worst
is
of all of them."
awful.
Right.
When you're like, well,
Yeah.
it's very you're again, we've hit it before. These movies aren't perfect. One of the hard things is you can't recreate nostalgia. You
That's
can't
right.
capture the nostalgia of seeing
Right.
your first Star Wars movie for the first time. As an
Exactly
adult,
right.
It's not gonna
as
happen.
much as I love and sing the praises of The Last Jedi, it's not this. When I'm watching The Last Jedi, it's not the same feeling as when I was 8 years old in Grandma's basement.
No
with you
way.
watching Star Wars
Right.
or watching Star Wars for the first time and seeing A New Hope and hearing about the Force and the lightsaber and have my mind being melted
Right.
because I don't know what's going on.
My mind being
Instead,
melted.
I'm like,
You and
wondering
Anakin
what's gonna
both.
happen. So
What are those long-eared horses doing? Like, right?
exactly.
It's
Horses in
different.
Space.
Yeah.
It's different.
So there's always stuff there that was a long answer for whether or not we think an episode 10 is
Yeah.
coming.
Interesting.
It's a big
It's
one.
still,
It's
it
interesting.
remains.
I've got
Remains to be seen. And I think that
Unanswered.
that's something that we won't. If I had to guess too.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're getting that answer anytime soon. Would be my guess because I think that it probably smartly they're like, let's leave that where it is for now.
Yeah.
Even if we announced that, hey, 3 years from now we're gonna do a Ray thing, there would be people going like,
Boo.
even though we
Right.
like Ray, there would be people like, already like go to some other stuff.
The answer is no
Yeah.
until it's yes.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I got one. You guys made me think of here.
All right.
Unanswered. Well, I guess it hasn't really been addressed yet. Well, I got two things.
Make up
One.
your mind.
One, World Between Worlds. Right?
Yep.
If you haven't seen Rebels, go watch it. Stop the episode, go watch it, come back.
Now that you've watched the entire series of Rebels,
Now that you're back,
Did you just tell everybody to leave our podcast?
come
for
back.
their sake, if it's to go watch Star Wars, leave the podcast, go watch Star Wars. Come back.
We should have said, stay on here.
Right.
Invite your friends on here. If you haven't watched Rebels, mute us right now. When we
There
give
you
the
go.
thumbs up,
Ooh.
you unmute.
All right.
True.
All
There you
right.
go.
But
Leave those out.
instead,
I'll
when
go
we
with
go to a spoiler territory, we say quickly invite more people. But mute.
Right.
But we want our views to go up.
I
Yeah,
get
for
it
sure.
because you're gonna tell them what happened in the show.
Yeah.
So
Like, you don't want to ruin it, so
Exactly.
like leave and come back.
because if I ruin it, they'll leave and never come back.
That's true.
That's true.
World
Either way,
Between-
you have to leave.
Either way, we don't want you here.
exactly. No,
Just kidding.
they're back now. World Between Worlds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What is the extent of this, and how many people know? For instance, we know the Emperor knows. We know Ahsoka knows. We know Ezra knows now. My question is, Yoda.
Does Kanan know?
Yoda.
Even.
Yeah, maybe. But I was going with Yoda and all of his
what a great
knowledge
character.
for however long he lived, 1,000 years, right? He says 800 years I've trained. Okay, so
Yeah.
Yoda has seen it all. We kind of look at him whether you think he's the strongest or greatest Jedi of all time. We look at
Yeah.
him as the wisest, probably,
Yep.
or at least one of them. Does he know of the world between worlds, and if so, what's the extent that he knows about it? And has he played a part in it before? How many people in Star Wars have actually played a part in the world between worlds and actually caused
Okay.
effects? We saw the Emperor tried to make effects. We saw Ezra actually make an effect, saved Ahsoka from Vader. So what?
I have a
is it?
qualifying question that could help answer that question. Okay.
Yeah.
Does the character of Yoda say anything ever about the things are unchangeable? You change one thing and you change everything. Has it ever been a thing that he's talked about? Because that's the essence of
Yeah.
what Ezra discovers. I can't go fix that because if I do, it derails everything else. I change one bad thing and all the good things after it may never happen. So has Yoda ever?
You can't pull Kanan out of there because we
It's
all die.
Right.
Because
Or-
then everybody dies.
Yeah, exactly.
So has Yoda ever said anything to that effect
Right.
that
But
you
there is kind of an area where it's like he saved Ahsoka.
Right.
Pulled
and
Ahsoka
that was
versus Vader.
He
Ahsoka
did.
versus Vader saved Ahsoka. Now we
He
never
did.
saw her not be saved. Right.
right?
We
Right.
never saw her die, so we don't know what would have happened.
What maybe she
But-
turned him back right there and he ruined it.
It ruined it.
Thanks a lot, Ezra.
But my point is basically
kidding.
what is the extent of World Between Worlds? How much is there
How-
effect? And does Yoda even play a role of I know about it, I'm protecting it, I don't want people to know about it because if it gets in the wrong hands like the Emperor,
Yeah.
a lot of bad can happen. There's just so much to go off of that it's interesting.
I don't
You'd
think
have to
I don't
think-
think he knows.
Would Luke, who has searched the galaxy for the
Yeah.
ancient Jedi texts and temples and stuff, by the time he's on
Ooh.
Octo at the end, does he have any idea about the? You would think that if he could influence and go back and undo the Ben Solo
Right.
thing, that he would consider that,
Yeah.
or does he like, hey, there's mythical Force stuff that Ezra finds himself involved in this thing, and
Yeah.
and the Ahsoka
And
thing
at what-
happens, but it's
yeah.
not a well you go back to.
And
it's
at
not
what
a.
point is that kind of crossing the Anakin line of I'm trying to change the destiny? At what point are you teetering with the dark side?
The
Of,
will
like,
of the Force
I
is-
need to be in control
Right.
as opposed to trusting in the Force.
Fixing everything.
Yeah.
Or, fixing what you want.
Yeah,
Or,
Right.
fixing
Is that a
from your
greed
point of
type
view.
thing?
You're
because you are mad that you messed up, or is it a selfless thing of like I messed up?
How
so I
about
will
this?
save
What
someone?
if?
Oh gosh, I love this. This is turning into Star Wars what ifs.
Why couldn't they make a whole show about the effect? Like, these are all the things that would have happened if some dark Sith hadn't interjected
Ooh.
and pulled them out.
They've got a Marvel what if.
It's
Bring
like
on Star Wars.
it's
Star Wars
like
What Ifs would be
it's
great.
like the time traveler show. You know, there's a guy that travels world between worlds, and that's the show.
Would
He
be
keeps
crazy.
interjecting and
It's just
changing.
a clone. No one's special.
Ooh.
That's the wait. Isn't that the a little bit of the holiday special, the
That
updated
is the
holiday
holiday
special?
special.
Isn't Ray jumping between
Jumping
time?
between time.
That's
periods and stuff?
true.
Did we write that?
We just did.
That was us.
We haven't
So
written it
Ray
yet.
knows about world between
But
worlds,
we haven't written it yet, but also in a sense we've always written it.
but we did. We already did.
So great. But yeah, I like that.
That I think
It's-
Yoda doesn't know
I feel like there's no reason for me to think
because
he does. My only
I
reason
don't
to
know.
maybe think he does is just because I
He
think
knows
he knows
everything, right.
But
That's
outside
true.
Of that, there's no reason to believe that.
are
he
we
doesn't.
are we really supposed to think Ezra's the only one that knows about this in the entire universe?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Ezra and the Emperor.
and Ahsoka, right? I don't
and
know.
Dooku?
Yeah, the Emperor.
I mean, as
knows.
far as Jedi,
Right. As
Yeah.
far as Jedi
Really?
go.
maybe not.
There's got to be more.
Qui-Gon's gonna know. He's been
Yeah.
everywhere too.
Or is that a hangout spot for Force Ghosts? Is that where they go? They're having.
He opens the door. Oh, sorry about that. That's all right.
Unanswered questions. Here's one.
All right.
What? Now we're getting into kind of a little more of the silly territory, but also true. What
Oh,
has
man.
the last 30 years been like for those workers of the Final Order who live on the Star Destroyers under ice and just wait, freezing right there until the Emperor's like finally like, oh, thank goodness.
They're all just in back to tanks. Just
Thank goodness. And then they
Waiting.
all come up and then they get shot down.
And that's it.
When Lando shows up with the reinforcements.
we at each other.
That's one of those things of like they're all manned. Like who's
Right.
the Emperor recruits real quick, or has really
Awesome.
loyal people that are just like give up your whole life and sit on this ship
Still in
forever.
a ship forever.
How great would it?
Or he just fills it with people. He
How
can just
great
fill it
and
with people
bad
that
would it
are
have
like
been?
people.
That's it. Yeah.
They're just not.
I was
but
gonna
they're
say
just
yeah.
people.
Snoke's. How they all come up? They're all Snoke, just controlling
They're all
Right.
Snokes.
all of his clones. Crazy.
Andy Serkis would never have to work again.
Never.
He would 1 million Snokes. He's voicing them all.
It was so great. Oh,
Yeah.
Man.
Oh
That's
man.
hilarious. Yeah. So that was just one I was what you were talking made me think of World Between Worlds, Clone Wars, Rebels stuff.
Right?
What are some of those what if or unanswered questions?
Ooh, this is not necessarily an unanswered question, but something I'd love. It's kind of unanswered. There's novels and stuff like that. I would love to see Dooku's fall to the dark side. As
Ooh.
far as I would love to see.
Ooh, yeah.
I know there's some
Him
of it in
crossing
novels
the
and
point.
Master and Apprentice, and there's stuff about Qui-Gon talking
There's
about
a
it.
lot
But give me
there.
a Disney Plus series with a 110-year-old Christopher Lee back from the dead. Sorry, rest in peace. But him, he's only my Duke. He's my Dooku forever. Playing, or just as being a. Actually, sorry, we can recast because it's gonna be a long time ago.
With a young
but-
guy, you could totally do it.
Totally do it.
I mean, it'd be
Sure,
easy.
Yeah, it's actually easier without Christopher Lee
Right,
being 100
really.
years old.
You know those scenes in he was actually doing those stunts, the flipping and stuff.
He was.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
That was him.
Yeah.
Same with
People
Yoda.
don't
A lot of
realize.
people don't know that he was very athletic.
Yeah, he was. I mean,
Yoda played himself too.
Yoda played himself. He said, "I do all my own stunts."
Yoda, yeah. I
He
saw
insisted.
The interview.
He's very
He
Adam
insisted.
Driver-ish.
Yeah, until he got completely fed up with it and said, "Just digitize me completely. I'm done."
Oh,
I was. a
Well, when
puppet, but you
production
can't do it."
stopped for a month when he hurt his leg, then they had to
That's-
do it all. Frank Oz
They
is like,
said,
I'm not doing this
this
anymore.
isn't
Just
working.
computerize it.
Well, Frank was attached to him the whole time. So
Frank's
behind him
doing it
all
with
the- Frank's
Should I
jumping
just
off
flip him
trampolines
or
and-
what? Yeah, just
Yeah.
flip him over.
So great.
Hilarious. But yeah, some Dooku. I would love more.
That would be so great.
Right? Give me a Disney
man.
Plus. Give me a Disney Plus young Dooku. Give me a young Palpatine.
Because then you
Give
get
me a
all the
young Dooku.
contemporaries and
Yes.
where does that timeline fit with? Where does that fit then?
That would be post.
I mean, could we tie it? Could it tie in with something else?
Oh yeah,
young
because
Qui-Gon?
it'd be
Where does it fit?
sometime in between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
Or it would be sometime
True, yeah.
because they don't ever show him in in Phantom Menace, but they also don't ever talk about him
Right,
in Phantom
yeah,
Menace.
yeah.
So
I
you don't
mean-
really know if he must have maybe fallen already.
The Emperor's
or-
always got contingencies.
already
he was already
old.
trying to get him.
He's
Yeah,
already
sure.
old. So when would he have been young? How many years before?
Yes.
Phantom
He's
Menace.
Qui-Gon's master.
He fell at an older age,
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure. So
I don't know
Be
how
interesting.
far back that would go.
Just give me a Qui-Gon Dooku.
I would love.
Man, that would be
Qui-Gon Dooku.
awesome.
Give me the Qui-Gon Liam Neeson de-age him, whatever you have to do, reaction of
right.
him. Because again, we love Qui-Gon. Give me Qui-Gon reacting to his master falling to the dark side or falling out, leaving the Jedi Order, and just the complexities there of how we've talked before about how Qui-Gon's complex. Like he
Man.
doesn't agree with everything the Jedi do either, but he
No.
also is not.
He's also a cheater.
is not a. He's a cheater, but he's not one to grab power to the dark side. He doesn't
No.
do things for selfish reasons.
No.
If you're
Yeah.
cheating and you're freeing a slave, I'll let
That's
slide.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll let slide.
Cheat more.
I'd have been fine with a lightsaber to do that, actually.
True.
But
If we're saying where our line is, that's fine.
turning a die, that's okay.
That's all right. Against
Man, I would
someone
love
who,
that.
let's face it, he's probably Watto's cheated every human he's ever met,
Right.
or not anybody.
And
So yeah, that's
man, that would be
Dooku.
awesome.
One more Dooku. Be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I would say I got an unanswered question from Lucas himself. Or
Yeah.
at least an undecided one.
Well,
Who
yeah.
shot first?
Who shot first?
He couldn't get over it.
Couldn't
he kept
let it
going.
go.
Didn't know. Couldn't decide.
Here's an unanswered question. What does it actually mean when Greedo said McClunky? What is the actual? Was it translated on the movie? I haven't watched
it
that.
means curtains.
Curtains, right?
Is
Didn't
it?
see
No,
anything. It's curtains.
no, it doesn't.
Is there a translation under it? Subtitle? Anybody watching
I
who's
just
seen
figured
don't
that?
that's
think
what it
there
was.
is.
I figured
No.
it was curtains.
I don't think it is. No, I think that's Favreau saying like in his mind he's like, well, it doesn't because like,
Doesn't
means
mean
like
curtains.
McClunky means curtains. Like I'm gonna
Curtains.
shoot you.
And you dead.
It would be so funny if the actual translation is the word curtains.
We should make that.
It's
Curtains.
Greedo's going through his house and decorating, and he's like, and then some McClunky. So he's talking about
McClunky, you
curtains.
don't want blinds? No.
He's like,
McClunky.
McClunky,
No,
and all of a sudden
McClunky.
when he says it too, the whole room's turned and they all have their guns on, and he's like, McClunky versus McClunky.
Not
Like,
those
oh, it's the
McClunky. That
pronunciation, it's
McClunky.
Yes, McClunky means
Yeah,
curtains.
unanswered. Unanswered.
I thought the question was going to be, will George Lucas direct again?
Oh, hey,
I
Spielberg's doing West Side Story.
think he'll
He
help.
could do Howard the Duck the musical.
I think
That's
he
what the
will
world's
help.
been clamoring for.
Oh,
George
you're
comes
done?
out of retirement to do Howard the Duck
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna do
musical.
another Howard
Is
the
it
Duck.
confirmed
Great.
that he's not helping with Boba Fett?
Not officially. I don't think George is doing. I
Will
don't
he
think
have
George is
credit?
doing
Will it be in the
any-
credits?
So, unless again,
Rats.
I think he's,
Check for daddy.
I think he is. I think from what I've heard, I think it'd be similar to what he did with
Consulting just.
Mando. Like he was on. He's
Yeah.
on. He probably came on set a couple of days, sat there. I do know that, like Favreau and Filoni have even said, like, yeah, George has come because we also have a relationship with him. We did the
Right.
Clone Wars with him.
Yeah,
like this
they're-
isn't Ryan Johnson, who Ryan Johnson even as director of the Jedi said that George Lucas wants to have dinner with you, and he's like, what? And so they didn't show it. They showed him talk about
Mhm.
the fact that he got to meet with him. But it wouldn't necessarily make sense of just like George being like, so you're the new guy. I'm going to sit here and just going to watch you
Right.
direct,
I don't
and
think
you're going to
that's his
have me
vibe.
looming over your shoulder.
Right.
This was Favreau. I mean, they showed in the documentary. He's like, look at this. He's like, look at this. This is Baby
Shows
Yoda.
him the-
This is, just wanted to show him. It's,
Yeah.
This is the.
Here's the weapon from
Here's the
Boba
weapon
Fett.
from
Here's the
Boba
weapon.
Fett. Remember? He's like,
You
well, that's
Remember
canon,
you
right?
made this.
Holiday special.
You made this, right? So it's canon, right? Yeah, not really.
Yeah, not really.
So it has a different feel to it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if he was there and he had discussions and was like, "Oh, I like this," or like, "Hey, maybe even here's an idea you could do it." And that George is on set and he sees Tamora Morrison again, who he directed and who he knows these guys, that he had some ideas, but I don't think he's writing scripts or anything like that. It would be awesome if he ever eventually did, but he's also getting up there in age. And,
How old is he now?
Let's find out. I mean, that's true. If you've got, I wonder how much older is Harrison Ford, or sorry, how much older is, like, what's his age like compared to Harrison Ford? We'll do this live.
Hey,
we can do it live.
Hey, why not? Why not?
We've got George
Somebody look it up.
Lucas.
Chat,
Let's see if I can
help
beat
us.
anyone in the chat.
Imagine.
George is 77.
77.
77.
Wow.
You know,
I want George to play
Marty Scorsese's still doing stuff.
Yeah.
You still got
Right.
Spielberg.
I want
Right.
George to
His
do
buddy's doing
These
it.
guys are still going.
Yeah.
I want George to do a Filoni role where Favreau's like, "Hey, get in the cockpit. We're gonna make you a pilot in
Could
this
you
scene."
imagine?
Oh my goodness.
How miserable would George look?
He would
Sitting there,
hate
I
it.
can't believe I'm doing this crap. And I just as
my
the
gosh,
X-wing
could
does the
you
little classic
imagine?
shake.
Switch all screens to deflector shields.
Here's a question. This is answered or unanswered. This is completely off topic.
This whole thing's gonna be digital, right?
You just put the computer in there.
Who does George see himself as in Star Wars?
Oh man.
Who does he relate? Is it Luke?
It's a hero's
Luke?
journey.
Is it Luke?
George
Does he
Lucas.
see himself as
Luke.
Ooh, Dirk
Is that where it
Starkiller
came
was the
from? Because
original
I
name.
know people have thought that with Lucas being Luke. But
Could be. I mean,
that
Lucas was
I don't think he sees himself as Luke.
I don't know if he saw
Rider,
himself
rider.
though kind of as he was kind of the outsider though,
Yeah.
right? He wasn't the Harrison.
He wasn't a rogue scoundrel.
He wasn't a scoundrel. He was kind of a hippie doing his own thing in the
Yeah.
70s. Is kind of a
I don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
sort of a fun
It's an interesting
podcast. If we're gonna, this might be another fun topic. If we're gonna recast Star Wars today, who would we put in the roles?
Ooh.
That might be a fun one to talk about.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
who would play Han Solo? Not the ones that they've already cast.
Yeah.
Right.
You're like with a
That
current
age, that time, who would we put in there?
Oh, that
Can't-
could be a
Sebastian Stan doesn't count.
Really
No,
young.
yeah.
No lookalikes. Just
No.
if you're casting the character,
I like it.
that could
Like
be
a
another
Timothy
cast.
Chalamet or some
Right.
current. Yeah.
Right age.
By
right,
the way,
who
I
would
do
play
love Dune.
Leia?
I just gotta say it.
Dune was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I don't know. George Lucas. Who is he? Leia? Maybe.
Could be a little more Leia. Yeah.
I
think
know
he
who
sees
George is.
himself as
I
Leia.
know who George is.
Vader.
Nope.
He's
I'm going to
Chewie.
say it, and you're going to go, that's exactly what George is. George Lucas is R2D2.
He is
oh
R2.
my gosh.
So he's got the
Snarky,
sarcastic,
yeah.
snarky, always is like a little bit ahead of everybody
And-
else,
It
knows
totally
the story,
is.
no fear,
The
just
snark.
And
That's
Filoni is Chopper.
Filoni
Literally,
is
he's
Chopper.
Filoni is
He literally
Chopper.
is Chopper.
He's the voice of Chopper.
you go.
Man, I think George is R2D2.
I think you're right.
That's
The-
what
the
they.
snark
That
is
was the real
totally-
meeting when Filoni got. Who do you see yourself as?
That's
And he
right.
said a droid, and Lucas said, "You're hired. You got Chopper. Let's go."
That's it. Beautiful.
Great.
That's
I
great.
love it.
R2D2. That's
And
fantastic.
Kathy is 3PO.
Hannah said,
There you go.
or
No,
Micah.
I don't know.
I don't know who's who now anymore. Jar Jar.
Oh my
Jar
God, like,
Jar.
who are you?
Like, look out, Scoop. Yeah, he did say Jar Jar was the center of the whole thing.
He just
He's the
Jar
ma-
Jar's
he's
saying
the- he's the,
he's the key to all this.
he's
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe it was Jar Jar.
He is. Maybe
I know we can do it. I know we can do it because it's impossible.
I guess that's an unanswered question right there.
It's a classic Lucas. Like, I need that mounted somewhere.
Oh,
That is
man.
fantastic.
And if anyone doesn't know that quote, go to YouTube because it's on there for
I'll zoom
free.
in on you for you.
Beautiful.
Go to thank you. This is important. Go to YouTube and look up the making of the Phantom Menace. It's a documentary. It's on YouTube. It has the behind the scenes stuff. And there's this great scene where George Lucas is sitting there. He's got Gary Kurtz. He's got all these guys that are sitting there.
Yeah.
And, all these people who are
With a
the
constant head
producers
nod.
and stuff, and they're all going.
They're just on a
They're
bobblehead
smacking
nod.
their gum, kind of chewing
Constantly.
right there, listening to George, and he's going through, and he's got this. There's this scene where he's got this whole like board of like Post-it notes.
Could not be more serious.
He's got like it's basically it's storyboards. He's
Yeah.
got this white
Yeah.
storyboards of all these scenes, and he goes through with a pink highlighter and a or pink highlighter and a yellow highlighter, and it's like
keep and change or something.
yellow. Oh, and it was practical and digital.
Oh yeah, right.
And so he's going, sorry, it's practical, it's digital. No, that's digital. This is definitely digital, practical, digital, and then it keeps cutting back.
Yeah.
To the guys who were doing
They're
this
going,
before, and they're going,
oh my goodness, how are we gonna
and
do
they're
this in a
looking, and they're all of a
computer?
sudden going, I don't.
Man.
And then the room kind of falls quiet as he's doing it, and you look back, and it's like almost all of it's like all pink. It's like almost all digital.
Right.
And George looks at it and he goes, "Yeah, I know we can do it. I know we can do it because it's impossible." And like with a straight face, and they're all going like,
We're 2 years after Toy
"I can
Story,
do it." Yeah,
and we're
yes.
like, you're gonna do all of this,
We're
and
gonna do all this. We're
Or
gonna
whatever.
invent the
I know
technology
you can do it
to
'cause
put
it's
Ahmed Best
amazing.
to create all this stuff with
It
Jar
really
Jar.
is
and
amazing.
It's insane. It's
Revolutionary.
just it's one of those things where it's funny the time period you come in, because what would George do now with the
Yeah.
technology? Imagine
Oh,
him
man.
making the prequels with the technology he had now.
Oh my gosh.
Of
And
just like
to
what
be
he tried to
honest,
do.
That's
So
right.
That's why
best
he always did the
lightsabers-
special editions. Oh, new technology. You got to do
Exactly
special editions.
right.
You got to add more stuff.
Some of the best fighting I think we've seen. Some
Oh,
of the
great.
lightsaber. You're
Some of
telling
the
me that
choreography is great.
Obi-Wan Anakin's one of the
Unbelievable.
greatest fight scenes in all of Star Wars.
The
It's phenomenal.
choreography, which now since I rewatched White Christmas again with Abigail the other day, all I'm thinking now is it's choreography. it's not. Anyone who's seen White Christmas, that's for you.
Oh, remember the prank I played on you for White Christmas, you and Abigail?
Unbelievable. You should.
So-
I think
Oh,
this is
gosh.
podcast shareable. You have to.
Okay,
Tell us.
so we're gonna watch White Christmas, and Mike comes over with his wife Abigail, and we have it on our computer server, right? So we're gonna play White Christmas from our own computer stuff. So I switched the thumbnails. We also have on the server the Star Wars Holiday Special. So I switched the thumbnails so that the Holiday Special is the White Christmas thumbnail on the video.
You had all even the background info and stuff. You
Everything
click on
was
it,
right.
It's all the info.
So you
is
pull up
all-
the video and it says Danny Kaye, Bing Crosby, 1956, whatever, a whole thing. But when you play it, it's the Star Wars Holiday Special.
and the
And
whole
they've come
family
over to
sat down.
watch White Christmas, and now I'm like, it won't. Oh, I guess we just have to watch because I stop. I go back out. I start it again. It's right there. Look, it says White Christmas. I hit play. Star Wars Holiday
Everybody's
Special.
like, "What
I
is
guess
going
we
on?"
gotta
So
watch-
then I go, I guess we have to watch it.
Guess we watch
And we
it.
settle in, and Abigail's like, what?
What is this? Then 14 minutes later,
20
and
minutes straight.
We had no
Lumpy
dialogue for
balancing
20
on
minutes.
the beams, 1,000 feet up into the air. Hilarious.
So I go back and I find the real movie, and we watch White Christmas.
But it
And
was one
that
of the
has
all-time
holiday
pranks.
Special.
And it says the Star Wars Holiday Christmas Special.
That's
One of the best
great.
pranks ever.
So you watch Danny Kaye, and you can't help but think of choreography, which is
Choreography.
fighting.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Darth Maul is the best, man.
Yeah. Oh,
Unbelievable.
so good.
Great.
I love
So
it.
great.
Do we have any more unanswered questions? Obviously, there's.
Well, yeah. Unanswered questions. Chat, we'll give you a second. If you got an unanswered question, throw it out there.
Yep.
Throw it out there. But no, I mean, while we give you a second to throw them out, just want to say thanks for tuning in to our first ever live podcast.
Yeah.
Give us honest feedback. When this is posted, you can drop comments on the video. Let
Yeah,
us know
tell
what you
Nate
thought.
everything you think about him.
Everything
Yeah.
you hate about me.
Do it.
Everything I
dishonest
did
for us.
wrong.
Give us
Dishonest.
dishonest feedback.
want
but
love.
he asked for honest. Yeah.
Honest feedback, but it has to be positive.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, but let us know. And if you've got, later on, you're rewatching, you say you didn't finish this and you're listening to this now, you got some more things came up in mind, some unanswered questions, or you're rewatching Star Wars like we do, and some more unanswered questions come up. Throw us, comment in the video, message us on Instagram @_Star Wars guys, and we'll address those.
We'll be happy to
maybe
lead with those
start.
next time.
Yeah,
right?
we can lead with them on the
Yeah.
next time, address
Yeah.
those before we dive into the main segment of our show.
If you even have a big idea, we do deep dive episodes.
Yeah.
We might do a whole episode based on just a suggestion you have. So yeah, like you said, social media, hit us up.
Yeah,
send us some stuff.
we always, if you've heard us in the past, we always try to encourage our listeners and now our viewership on YouTube to interact with us. Give us some questions, topic ideas, and we'd love to shout you out and address those. Maybe, like Mike was saying, make a whole episode on it. It could be a deep dive on a character. It could be a topic. It could be, where do you see Star Wars going from here? What is the next big saga? It could be any of that stuff. So, hit us up. Let us know what those are. Again, you can find us on Instagram @_Star Wars guys. And now here on YouTube, we plan to move forward with a lot of this live streaming as well. So thanks for tuning in. You guys got anything?
I got an unanswered question.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's
go.
do it.
Are we gonna do next Sunday at 8? Are we gonna be like the new Disney Sunday night family show?
Yeah.
Remember, you guys don't remember. When I was a kid, Sunday night was The Wonderful World of Disney, and it was on at 8 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah.
There we go.
We could be the wonderful.
Yeah,
We could be. I'm
The
just
Wonderful
curious
World of
because
Star Wars.
that's an unanswered question.
for sure. That is an unanswered question. We'll leave
I
it
like it.
unanswered.
Ooh, we'll find out next
I
week.
like it.
Find out.
I
No,
like it.
I like it. Count on every Sunday around 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock sharp. We're gonna, now that we're getting used to the live stream stuff here with YouTube. Tune in at 8 on Sundays. We'll be doing our podcast, and we'll also be keeping you up to date. So if anything does happen, or something gets delayed, or we gotta push time, move time because things come up in life,
We can move time.
we will.
Whoa.
We can bend time. World between
World
worlds.
between worlds. I like it.
We'll always post stuff. We keep our Instagram pretty updated whenever new things are coming out. So whether it's just an update about a new episode that's dropping, whatever. And if you're in the car, we still are going to be posting all of the audio from our podcasts on all of
That's still
the
an option.
podcast streaming platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Everything. I mean, I know there's a ton more. There's like 8 more. So pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find the audio too, which will always be posted relatively short, maybe a couple days or the following day of our live stream.
Awesome.
Love it.
I like that idea.
All right. Anything else unanswered?
Tons.
Tons.
We'll save
We
it for
do
another
we'll
time.
save-
We could go a million different places with this.
I'll be
but
watching this back and think of more. So that's how it works.
Yeah.
Things pop up.
now
So-
that we've gone 2 hours and have answered 0 questions,
I hope you feel fulfilled. But as
Yeah,
always, thanks
I
for
do.
tuning in. We'll see you next time, and may the Force be with you.
I like that Wookiee.
Han Solo.
I care. That's just